Chapter 12:51. This meant that Earth was very strong. Just as Chun Hao had guessed through various signs, Earth must be inextricably linked to the ancient universe and the great world of CND. It was also very likely that Earth was not inferior to the great world of CND. Now, he who was really born on Earth was born on Earth in the immortal realm. However, the practitioners from other worlds only used the great world of CND as their birthplace. This undoubtedly proved Chun Hao's conjecture that Earth was in existence on the same level as the great world of CND. Buzz. This should be the peak of Mount Tai in the age of chaos. Chun Hao, whose heart was in turmoil, stood on the peak of the mountain. His mind was completely open. Just as he was about to carefully sense the familiar yet strange Earth, his expression suddenly changed, and he exclaimed, "Heavenly suppression." Then he spat out 4 words. Earth. Ever since he had awakened his memories, he had never thought that he had much attachment to Earth. In the past, he could be said to be ruthless, extreme, and antisocial. In short, he was an orphan and had no family ties on Earth, let alone love. As for friendship, he didn't think he had it either, because in the past he had basically isolated himself from the world and didn't trust anyone. But every time he really thought about Earth, his heart would always lose its calm. At this moment, sensing the aura of the perfect Earth, he couldn't help but have a strong desire to return to Earth. It was definitely not for Yi Xian, but purely for the sake of his heart. However, the Earth, which was originally very small to the current Chun Hao, suddenly exceeded his perception. To be precise, the moment Chun Hao wanted to carefully sense Earth, his perception was suppressed thousands of times. Moreover, it was an invisible and irresistible heavenly Tao power. It's really not as simple as it looks. My perception has been suppressed more than 10,000 times, and only a radius of 100 miles is left. However, this is the perfect state of Mount Tai. There's no mistake. A perfect Mount Tai meant a Mount Tai that had not been through any artificial traces in the immortal realm, nor had it experienced the age of chaos. To be exact, Chun Hao was the only living person on Earth in the immortal world. Could it be that I was born at the peak of Mount Tai? Chun Hao pondered. Generally speaking, the place where the cultivator first entered the immortal world was the place where the cultivator came from. For outsiders from the great world of CND, the city they first entered was the standard. And now, Chun Hao had appeared at the peak of Mount Tai. Did this mean that Chun Hao had been born at the peak of Mount Tai? After all, in Chun Hao's previous world, Mount Tai had long become a tourist attraction. It was impossible for anyone to be born on the peak of Mount Tai. But now, Chun Hao didn't have much doubt. He had concluded that he was not an ordinary person. As for whether he was the continuation of Li Yuan's life or the rebirth of Li Yuan, it was already very clear when the soul fusion mutation occurred. He was the fusion of Li Yuan and Chun Hao, not just an artificial intelligence with Li Yuan's memory. Of course, this was all done by the old god at the moment of the explosion. This meant that he, who was once an orphan on Earth, was born at the peak of Mount Tai. Mount Tai, since ancient times, has been known as the place where all things are born and the house of the gods. It is the pilgrimage place of emperors and has many myths and legends. Could it be that I'm the reincarnation of an ancient mighty person on Earth? Chun Hao thought to himself. Mount Tai was undoubtedly the most sacred and mysterious place in the hearts of the Huaxia people. It was just that in the age of chaos, it had become a myth. No one could verify whether it was true or false. Forget it. Let's see what kind of mysteries this virtual perfect Earth contains. Chun Hao's figure suddenly rose into the air. His perception range was reduced to a radius of 100 miles. Not only was he not discouraged, but he was also more interested in flying and exploring. Vast Universe Star. This is clearly the Vast Universe Star. Chun Hao did not know that Si Xian, who was extremely surprised, had also determined what the novice village where she was born was before him. The familiar aura of the heavenly way, the familiar division of stars, mountains, seas, and rivers. Except for the lack of cities, It was exactly the same as the vast universe star that Cixin knew had unified 10 galaxies. It was just that the spiritual chi of heaven and earth and the heavenly way were more real and powerful by hundreds or thousands of times. This was the same as what Ao Qian, Su Tao, and the others had said before. The great world of CND was also inferior to the spiritual chi of heaven and earth and the heavenly way in the space of the celestial world. The puzzled Cixin was also like Chunhao. She concluded that the reason why she was born in her birthplace was because the ancient chaos Great Thousand World was not inferior to the immortal Emperor Great Thousand World. That was why she was different from other outsiders. Different from Chunhao, Cixin did not have time to look around before a strong but familiar aura suddenly descended from the void and locked onto her. Almost at the same time, Cixin and the person who had locked onto her let out surprised and excited cries. Cixin could not believe that this was real. Buzz. Half an hour later, Chunhao, who was flying quickly in the void, did not tear the void, nor did he use the great teleportation technique, but the seemingly normal space suddenly rippled like water, with Chunhao's body as the core. Immediately, Chunhao disappeared from his original place. A Bodhi in a leaf, a world in a grain of sand. There is indeed a different world. This is just a spatial point. Chunhao was shocked. If it were not for his super strong perception that was countless times stronger than cultivators of the same level as him, and his eyes of fire and gold, even he would not have been able to discover the abnormality in space. Buzz. When Chunhao passed through the seal boundary and once again appeared in an open space, Chunhao's eyes widened. How could this be described as a different world? It was a different starry sky. The suppression of the heavenly Tao disappeared directly, and his strong perception also recovered at the same time. However, Chunhao looked at the endless river of stars and sighed with emotion. The vast thousand worlds. It was an absolutely powerful greater thousand world, but it had been condensed into a tiny Earth. Chunhao was still not sure how many such spatial entrances there were on Earth, and whether they would all lead to this starry sky after entering. However, he knew that an existence that could condense the endless starry sky of the vast thousand worlds into a spatial point on Earth was definitely an existence that could not be imagined. Couldn't a mortal emperor do it? Chunhao did not know. Phew! This is not something that can be understood in a short time. Su Tao, Ao Qian, and the others are probably waiting anxiously. No, when I arrive on Earth, can I still contact the great world of CND? Chunhao was puzzled. Previously, he had agreed with Ao Qian and the others that after entering, he would connect their communication numbers. He would only know the number after entering, which was slightly different from the second world. Chapter 1252. Chunhao hurriedly called Su Tao's number. He thought that the possibility of getting through was very small, but he did not expect Su Tao to appear in Chunhao's mind before he could even wait. Brother Fatty, why are you so slow? Where are you? We have arrived at the true martial city. Su Tao asked directly after seeing Fatty's image. Under the laws of space-time, 1 minute in the outside world was 100 minutes here. Su Tao, Ao Qian, Ling Feng, and the others have been waiting for a long time. Give them my number. You don't have to worry about where I am. I have to raise my realm to the peak of the late Daluo Golden Wonderland first. Before that, I want to act alone. Chunhao said without hesitation. Chunhao naturally could not tell anyone about his arrival on Earth. If this were to spread, it would cause an uproar. Even if he did not die, he would not be able to regain his freedom. Brother Fatty, didn't we agree on this? With people like us imparting our experience and guiding you, both your realm and the level of our team will increase. Su Tao, plans can't keep up with changes. I'm a natural genius. How can I let you guide me? Don't say any more. It's settled. Did Chen-Si contact you? Give me her number. Chunhao said. Not yet. You guys entered the great world of CND together. She should be near you. She contacted you. As Su Tao spoke, Cixin's communication verification was sent over. Sister-in-law Chen-Si, where are you? Did Fatty contact you? Give me his number. My starting realm is the early Daluo Golden Wonderland. I won't be with you guys for the time being. Are you serious? We had a good talk. All right. It seems like I want to train alone with you. Then you guys have to spend more time and try to catch up with us. My number is asterisk, 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 Su Tao said. Then he called Chun Hao and said, Brother Fatty, sister-in-law is calling you. Fatty, were you born in the eastern continent of the infinite star? Si Xian, something's wrong. As soon as Chun Hao and Si Xian's communication was connected, the two of them spoke at the same time. What's wrong? Si Xian was shocked. What? The eastern continent of the Wuji star? Chun Hao was equally surprised. Si Xian's voice was filled with intense excitement. She seemed to be very sure that Chun Hao was born in the eastern continent of the Wuji star in the vast universe galaxy of the ancient chaos universe. What was going on? Could it be? Almost instantly, Chun Hao thought of a possibility and hurriedly asked, You were born in ancient chaos? Yes. Don't you? What's wrong with you? Si Xian said nervously, Sure Fu is right beside me. What? You mean Senior Yilan? I only have one master. Who do you think it is? Let master tell me the details. I'm not very clear about it yet. Si Xian said. Good, good, Chun Hao said excitedly. Chun Hao couldn't help but be excited. He didn't need Yilan to explain it all. Chun Hao could guess that since the unified ancient chaos universe was at the same level as the great world of CND, it must have the ability to connect to the great world of CND like Earth. Moreover, it should be a recent ability. Otherwise, Yilan wouldn't have kept it from them. Greetings, controller. Greetings, Senior Yilan. Senior, please don't kill me. Chun Hao was very embarrassed. Whether it was in the past or now, Yilan was an elder in Chun Hao's heart. How could he bow to a young boy like him? Especially after guessing Yilan's amazing life in the great world of CND, he was even more impressed by this old man. How? Very cute like this. However, great luck and love can't be erased by changing your image. At most, it will reduce its power to strangers. Yilan's eyes shone brightly. Perhaps because he had defeated his old enemy, Yilan was now in high spirits. Half of his white hair had turned black, and the wrinkles on his face had decreased a lot. He didn't look old at all. Ahem. Senior, what's going on? You're on the Wuji star, right? No. Could it be the Ying star? That's right. The Wuji star is just a small planet. It shouldn't be divided so carefully. Senior, I was born on Earth. What? You were born on Earth? Yilan was shocked. Si Xian also widened her eyes in surprise. Although they knew that Chun Hao had a close relationship with Earth and that Earth was very strong, they didn't expect that Earth, which was just a small part of Chun Hao's memory, was so strong that it was on the same level as the ancient chaos universe and the great world of CND. Yes, Chun Hao replied affirmatively. I didn't expect Earth to be so strong. That's right. You have 3,000 great Daos and have mastered countless mysterious scriptures. How can a place that can give birth to such powerful techniques be weak? No, that's not right. According to your memory, Earth should be in the age of chaos. If it's the age of chaos, it's worse than when the ancient chaos universe was 10 galaxies. It shouldn't be connected to the space of the immortal realm. What's going on? Yilan frowned. Senior, do you mean that when you first entered the space of the immortal realm in the great world of CND, you weren't born in the ancient chaos universe? Of course not. The ancient chaos universe was 10 galaxies, and the complete heavenly Tao was divided into 10 worlds even longer ago. At that time, I was born in the great world of CND like the other outsiders. Now, I can enter the ancient chaos universe because the unified ancient chaos universe restored the former heavenly Tao and connected the space of the immortal realm. Unfortunately, I haven't found a place that can enter the space of the immortal realm. Your Earth is really strange. According to the information in your memory, it's just a little bit, and it's the age of chaos. Could it be that the age of chaos is fake? How? Did you find anything strange? I mean, compared to the Earth in your memory. I found something. Earth is just a floating body on the surface. I just found a space node and entered the endless starry sky. It's completely the aura of the great world, and it should be the aura of the complete great world. It's definitely not inferior to the great world of CND. I reckon that there should be many such spatial points on the surface of the earth, and they can all enter the greater thousand world. However, there should only be one that can enter. Otherwise, it would be too powerful. Chen Hao said. Chapter 1253. Doesn't that mean that the entire vast thousand world is condensed on the small earth? Yilan asked in surprise. Then, as if he had thought of something, he continued, I understand now. Earth, your so-called age of chaos, is probably just a facade. The real Earth, which is the vast thousand world condensed on Earth, is not the age of chaos. This is the only way to explain why you were born on Earth. In the great world of CND, the birthplace of an outsider who first entered the immortal world was usually the first city in the great world of CND. Unless the vast thousand world that the outsider belonged to was of the same level as the great world of CND, then they would be born in the birthplace of the vast thousand world. The reason why Yilan was so sure that the real Earth was not the age of chaos was that when ancient chaos had not been unified, when he entered the immortal world from the great world of CND, he was born in the great world of CND instead of ancient chaos. This also meant that when the heavenly way was incomplete, even if the vast thousand world was of the same level, it would not work. The age of chaos was naturally not possible, but Chen Hao could. This meant that Earth was definitely not in the incomplete state of the age of chaos. Maybe Chen Hao wanted to return to Earth to find out more. What happened in ancient times? Where did the ancient mythical figures go? Why did the surface of Earth enter the age of chaos? Too many secrets that he wanted to uncover were born in Chen Hao's heart. Moreover, for some reason, Chen Hao had an intuition that this was his destiny. Senior, according to Yilan's deduction, since the vast thousand world condensed on Earth is not in the age of chaos, why can't I sense the aura of any cultivator in the immortal world? If I'm not mistaken, there is no cultivator here. If it's ancient chaos, it's understandable. After all, ancient chaos has just recovered, and cultivators who haven't stepped onto the path of the immortal emperor definitely can't sense the aura of the immortal realm. Moreover, because of the ban on cultivators in the great world of CND, there's no one in ancient chaos other than me who has a spirit helmet to enter the immortal realm. But Earth shouldn't, Yilan said. He couldn't figure out either. Since Earth wasn't in the age of chaos, there should be a lot of cultivators. Naturally, they should know about the space of the celestial realm. How could there be no one? Yilan paused for a moment before continuing. Unless Earth has just recovered like ancient chaos, and they haven't found the secret space where the spirit helmet was born. This is the most likely possibility. Another possibility is that Earth is in the age of chaos, and according to your memory, the powerful beings of the law of divine powers have become legends and haven't appeared on Earth for a long time. Therefore, it's also possible that something happened to the cultivators on Earth. It's possible. Either they're all dead, or they've left Earth en masse. The place they went to is not connected to the immortal realm. Otherwise, there shouldn't be no one left. That's right. How? Or there's no need to guess. Now that you're born on Earth, it's undoubtedly a good thing for us. It shouldn't be long before the controller of the immortal realm will build some facilities on Earth, even if you're the only one. Chen Hao was slightly shocked. This time I entered the Daluo Golden Wonderland and was reborn in ancient chaos. Now the system notification says that because of the countless years of abandonment, in order to avoid wasting energy, the original facilities have been taken back. Now it's being rebuilt. Looking at the progress, it will take about 100 years. Adding the time I've been waiting for, the actual time in the immortal realm is about 10,000 years, which is about 100 years in the outside world. 10,000 years of closed-door cultivation is very fast. In ancient chaos, I'm looking for the secret space where the spirit helmet was born. If I'm not wrong, it should be somewhere in the core of ancient chaos. When I find it, your Tao companion and brothers and sisters will be the priority to give it to them. Yilan said, That's great. Senior, thank you so much. What are you thanking me for? There's no need to be polite. You just need to agree to one of my conditions. What condition? Senior, just say it. Don't forget about Yi Xian, if I'm not wrong. Only when you step on the path of the immortal emperor and really reach the end can you control the endless starry sky. At that time, you will know the real location of Earth without any problems. However, you have to be prepared. Although we can contact each other, if you want to meet in the immortal realm, it's only possible on the path of the immortal emperor. Don't worry. I understand. When I came in, I guessed it. This time, Chen Hao was not surprised and said in a deep voice, although Earth in the immortal realm could contact Su Tao and the others in the great world of CND and Yilan and Si Xian in ancient chaos, Chen Hao knew immediately that it was impossible to meet in the immortal realm. The reason was very simple. This was the same as the novice village in the game. Only when one's level was high enough could they walk out of the novice village and meet people in other novice villages. And this was the novice village of two greater worlds. The only way to meet was on the path of the immortal emperor. By the way, the growth of your seventh anima is faster than expected. Epiphany and the demonic realm are as common as eating a meal. It's really too abnormal. I'm afraid that you will only lose this latent feeling and slow down when you catch up to your original body. You have to work harder. In the future, maybe on the path of the immortal emperor, the seventh anima will be your opponent. That should be very interesting. Ha! Yilan said. That powerful? Chen Hao was speechless. That little brat? Master, what's his level now? Daluo Jinx Xian initial level. No way. Chen Hao and Si Xian were both stunned. That was too damn fast, wasn't it? Don't look at me like that. No one helped him. Only the little empress stayed with him a little longer, but she didn't give him any help. She just played with him and caused trouble. But this kid is really abnormal to the extreme. When we find the secret space of the spirit realm helmet, let him in first. Then, Si Xian, you could train with him in the immortal realm space. It won't be a problem for you to reach the immortal emperor path. If you follow him, you can get the benefits of epiphany at any time. Yilan said, All right, Howard, that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I won't necessarily answer immediately. During this time, I'm going to the depths of the ancient chaos void to take a look. You two chat. Old man, I won't disturb you anymore. Yilan said, then directly disconnected the connection. As for Ao Qian and the others, what do we say? Si Xian blushed at Yilan's words, but she did have something to say. In the great world of CND, there's no telling where they'll be born. If you can be born in the great world of CND in the immortal realm space, then it'll be easy. At least I won't have any problems here and can cover you. If you can also give birth to one, and it's a peak state derived from emotions, then it'll be even easier. Chapter 1254. Damn fatty, do you think I'm like you? The flaw in my 9 lives profound technique isn't something that can be fixed in a short period of time. Unless I fuse with my 3rd life, there will be a new beginning. Right now, it's impossible for me to derive a 4th life, not to mention a peak state derived from emotions. There's no chance at all. Si Xian said, That's true. Then I'll have to cover for you. Chen Hao said after thinking for a while. In the immortal realm, just say that I'm in secluded cultivation. Anyway, they want you. It has nothing to do with me. However, are you sure you could derive an 8th life now? Chen Hao laughed proudly. You'll know when you leave the immortal realm. Forget it, I'll leave now. I have to let the 8th life leave the Taoist Academy. Otherwise, I won't be able to get a spirit realm helmet. Leave. After Chen Hao finished speaking, he cut off the connection and left the immortal realm. Si Xian opened her eyes at almost the same time as Chen Hao. When did you derive an 8th life? Si Xian asked. Without waiting for Chen Hao to answer, she continued. Could it be during the assessment? Since leaving ancient chaos, apart from the few years of the Taoist Academy's assessment, Si Xian could be said to have been with Chen Hao all the time. Therefore, it was most likely derived during the assessment. Otherwise, Chen Hao would have no reason to hide it from her. That's right. Also, it was during the combat power assessment. I was just born a few days ago. Wang. As Chen Hao spoke, A ray of light suddenly bloomed from between his eyebrows. A monstrous killing intent rolled out. Ah, Xixian was so frightened that she cried out. If she didn't know that Chunhao wouldn't do anything to her, she probably would have fled thousands of miles away. It was sharp, cold, and filled with an endless bloody aura of slaughter. It was too strong and too shocking. You derived an eighth life from the will of slaughter? That's right. It's not bad, right? Pervert. So ugly. The eighth anima, filled with boundless killing intent, glared at Xixian and said, "Hey, I say, Xixian, are your eyes crooked now? Do I look ugly now?" With such a tone, it was obvious that he was completely connected with the mind of Chunhao's main body. Although doing so would affect the true fusion in the future, there was nothing that could be done about it. The eighth anima of the will of slaughter possessed the most extreme power of emotion. If it was left alone, it would either cause rivers of blood to flow, or it would be destroyed by an expert. With his cold and ruthless nature, it was impossible for him to go out alone. Moreover, Chunhao had to keep in touch with him. "Your eyes are crooked. It just doesn't look good to me. Could it be that you're going to use your true self's face in the eighth anima? Oh, I understand now. So you're afraid that I'll go out and flirt with other women. Don't worry. Even though I'm a little dissolute, I still know what I'm doing. If it's not my original body, then I won't have any feelings for any woman. Yes, including men." Xixian was amused by Chunhao's including men. However, she knew why. Chunhao's fifth anima, the tree of life, might have inherited the genes of the life seed. It had the same hobby as the abnormal monster Zhou Qinglong she had met in the boundless chaos world. It killed both men and women. If Chunhao only limited the feelings between men and women, then it would really be a tragedy. It would be a tragedy that would make her vomit blood and want to kill herself. Wouldn't it be better if he didn't limit it? If he didn't limit it, then at least he would still be with the opposite sex. If he limited it, then he would be forced to move closer to the same sex. It would be like some old-fashioned and boring high school principal back on Earth. F***CK. This was a homosexual teacher. What are you laughing at? Come, accompany me for a walk. Let him go. Wong. Fatty Chunhao took the eighth anima into his mental space. Why did you let him go? You're going to enter the academy, so why can't you enter any academy? You are born from the will of slaughter, and the nature of slaughter is deeply ingrained in you. Even if your mind is connected, if you go too far away or enter a special space, it will be out of your control. At that time, what if you randomly kill people? I think it's better to let him stay in the Dahua Academy. In any case, not many people can see through your 9-anima mystic technique. Not to mention, you have the ultimate form of the Great Change technique. It's even more impossible to be discovered. This way, you can also restrain Murong, Qianhua, and the others. That makes sense. Why didn't I think of that? Then it's decided. I'm familiar with the path. I'll directly take the special recruitment route. I don't need to participate in the assessment. I just need to show my heaven-defying talent. And let's do that. Come, let's go out and send him outside the academy. In the 8th anima, if one wanted to obtain the Soul Realm helmet, they had to enter the academy with a new identity. To put it bluntly, only by becoming a disciple of the academy would one have the qualifications to obtain the Soul Realm helmet. And the same cultivator, which was the same identity, couldn't obtain 2 Soul Realm helmets, nor could they use 2. Any cultivator who fused with the Soul Realm helmet would have it for life. No one could erase it, and it was impossible to fuse with another. Ancient Chaos, Great Thousand World. Sacred Palace before Chunhao left Ancient Chaos. The Temple of the 10 Galaxies had already fused together. But now, if Chunhao were to return and see the temple again, he would definitely be shocked. As the 10 galaxies fused together more and more perfectly, the supreme heavenly Tao laws became clearer and clearer. The temple, which represented the highest temple of the ancient chaos universe and gathered the strongest destiny of the universe, was also transforming and evolving on its own. The aura it emitted became more and more magnificent, vast, and divine. What made the people of ancient chaos feel even more mystical was that in the sky above the temple, there was always an afterimage. One could only vaguely make out that it was a human figure, but its outline was blurry, making it impossible to see its specific appearance. But the acting controller Yulon and the original controllers of the 9 galaxies, the current counselors, determined that this was the manifestation of the faith that controlled Chunhao. It was only because the convergence of faith was not enough that it could not be seen clearly. They believed that as time passed, it would become clearer and clearer, as long as everyone had enough devout faith in the killing god Chunhao. Now, in the ancient chaos universe, everyone knew that the killing god Chunhao had stepped into the great world of CND for the survival of the ancient chaos universe. Every day, every hour, every moment, there were cultivators praying for the killing god Chunhao. They were looking forward to the return of the killing god Chunhao, looking forward to the killing god Chunhao leading the ancient chaos universe through the apocalypse that was inevitable in tens of thousands of years. The so-called apocalypse was the threat from the great world of CND, the master of the Shao family ancestor. In the depths of the temple, in a palace shrouded in immortal light, Yulon, who was sitting cross-legged, exited the immortal world space and let out a long sigh. Chapter 1255. He always exceeds my expectations. This kid has only just arrived at the great world of CND, yet he actually entered a first-rate academy. Moreover, his test results are all top geniuses in the first-rate academies, and they're on par with my results when I went all out. However, according to this kid's character, I'm afraid he's still hiding a lot. Yulon muttered excitedly. At this point, even Yulon couldn't help but admire Chunhao's calmness. Every time he thought he had seen through Chunhao, he would discover that this kid exceeded his expectations and seemed to have not revealed all his trump cards. Moreover, this is only his main body. What would happen if his other lives fused into one? It's truly abnormal. Yulon shook his head and suddenly looked towards the void. His eyes suddenly emitted an incomparably resplendent crystal light, and it seemed to penetrate the endless starry sky in an instant. He said loudly, "Kid, didn't you want to see the ancient chaos domain? Master will take you there now." Ah! A young man who was still wet behind the ears was holding his head, supporting his legs, and holding a small white flower in his mouth. He was lying on the lawn and basking in the sun comfortably. He was shocked by Yi Lan's sudden words, and he jumped up and exclaimed towards the sky. But soon after, the young man said excitedly, "Master, are you serious?" "Of course it's true. Kid, Master can tell you clearly now. Compared to your main body, no matter if it's talent or strength, you're 108,000 miles away. This is only on the surface. If we're comparing temperament, 10,000 of you wouldn't even be a 10,000th of him. I say, Master, I'm still a child, okay? In the entire world, including my main body, who can reach such a cultivation level at my age and possess my combat strength? No one, right? So, if you want to compare my main body to mine at the same age. Whoever can kill the other is the stronger one. In the future, Master, don't say anything like this, it's meaningless. Besides, I'm my main body. If he's strong, I'm strong. And if I'm strong, he's strong. What's his is mine, and what's mine is his. Is there a difference? No, there isn't. It's meaningless. There's no difference. Master, you're just wasting your breath. Why do you have to say such useless words every time? Also, stop. In the palace, the veins on Yi Lan's forehead bulged as he directly interrupted with a stern voice. Do you still want to go? Yes. Of course, he wanted to. As lonely as the snow, how could I not want to go to the legendary ancient chaos desolation domain? Oh my, beauty. Master, hurry up and form the tunnel. I'll wait for you. Chi, the young man who was speaking called out to Yulon. With a whoosh, he turned into a stream of light and appeared in front of a young girl who was flying in the air thousands of miles away. Yulon was so angry that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Needless to say, he already knew what this brat was doing. Condense. Without any hesitation, Yulon waved his hand and pointed. Runes quickly condensed in the air. He wanted to use the fastest speed to forcefully teleport this lawless and shameless little Chun Hao back. Hello, beautiful. Who are you? What are you trying to do? Puff. The young girl slammed on the brakes in a panic and looked at the figure that had suddenly blocked her path. However, as soon as she finished speaking, she felt that her panic was funny. The person in front of her, apart from being a little faster, had the appearance and figure of a little brat who looked at most 14 or 15 years old. His aura was also that of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Although the young girl knew that it was impossible for him to be 14 or 15 years old, the other party clearly did not disguise himself. As the saying goes, one's appearance is born from one's heart. Just by looking at his appearance, he should not be a bad person. After the young girl's panic, she burst into laughter because the word good person was written on the little brat's forehead. This was really too funny. Whether he was a good person or not, there was no need to write on his forehead, right? Beauty, don't be afraid. Brother just wants to ask you for a small favor. Brother? Little brat, to be able to maintain this appearance and advance to the Daluo Jinxian, your talent is really extraordinary. However, don't you see that I'm the Supreme of Hongmeng? Tell me, what small favor do you want to help me with? The young girl said old age. Obviously, she did not agree with the little brat calling himself brother. Auntie, you agree? Tell me what favor? The young girl was stunned, but her mood immediately improved. This little brat was quite tactful. Auntie, can you help me give birth to a son? What did you say? The young girl thought that she had misheard and asked in disbelief, her eyes wide open. Can you help me give birth to a son? Scram. After confirming that there was no mistake, the young girl directly kicked out. The shameless little Chun Hao's but suddenly bloomed, and like a stream of light, he shot out into the void. Come here, stinking brat. Wong. Yilan's unidirectional space-time tunnel suddenly opened, and she roared its seventh anima, grabbing it through the air. Little Seven, you're messing around again. See if I don't slap you to death. At the same time, a stream of light streaked past, and a beautiful and cute short-haired girl suddenly appeared. Like an eagle catching a chick, she grabbed Seventh Anima's ear and pulled him into the space-time tunnel. The enraged young girl, who had been teased, was dumbfounded. It was a very solid kick from Grand Miss Sovereign, but the little wimp was completely fine. It would have been fine if he was fine, but a space-time tunnel had appeared. It would have been fine if the space-time tunnel had appeared, but a young and extremely sexy beauty had appeared out of thin air. It would have been fine if she had appeared out of thin air, but she had actually grabbed the pervert and stepped into the space-time tunnel. The moment the pervert stepped into the space-time tunnel, the little wimp nodded slightly at him with a trace of apology. What kind of face was that? What kind of eyes were that? Even the most beautiful young girl felt ashamed of her own inferiority and a feeling of wanting to bow down and worship the other party. Little Hui, I'm your man. Seventh Anima, whose ear was being grabbed, roared. Yeah, you're the man I raised with my own hands. Once, twice, thrice, and 4 times I let you go. You dare to come for a 5th or 6th time? You open your mouth and ask this little girl to give birth to a son with you? You grown up, huh? I'll cut you off when we get back. Little Hui, I'm just joking. Didn't I miss you? I asked you to come with me, but you didn't want to. This is the perfect way to summon you. Don't look at me like that. I'm serious. Don't you know Master's space-time tunnel? Master is taking me to the ancient chaos domain. It's too boring to be alone with an old man like him. Seventh Anima immediately went soft. What couldn't Great Empress Lu Hui do? Cutting off his penis would be a piece of cake. Furthermore, she could guarantee that it wouldn't grow back after she cut it off. No divine ability or law could be used. How could anyone erase the inherited Tao mark awakened by the Great Empress? He had no choice but to admit defeat. Although he hadn't used it before he fused with his main body, this was a man's dignity. He couldn't do without it. This chapter will make up for yesterday. Thank you, Brother Yution, for your 10,000 coins tip. I'll add another chapter tomorrow. Chapter 1256. Hearing the explanation of the seventh anima, Lu Hui's beautiful eyes flashed with a trace of undetectable craftiness. It had to be said that she was quite fond of the seventh anima. After all, back then, Chun Hao had completely connected with the seventh anima. When Chun Hao left, the seventh anima, aside from the body of a little brat and its divine abilities, could be said to be completely Chun Hao's. As for now, there were some differences because of the different experiences. Going to the antiquity Chaos Void. It's not suitable for you to go now. You have to at least reach the peak of the late Daluo Golden Wonderland. Why would Senior Yilan take you there now? Lu Hui asked. It's very suitable. I'm already as lonely as snow. Let me tell you, at the same level, I'm definitely stronger than my original body. Don't underestimate me. The seventh life said unhappily. The antiquity Chaos Void. When your original body was at the peak of the Daluo Golden Wonderland, it only entered the second layer. Moreover, that was when the 10 galaxies were at their peak. Now that the 10 galaxies have merged and the heavenly Dao Law has merged, the energy of heaven and earth and the heavenly Dao Law are thick, causing the Dao marks and divine intent to be even stronger. The antiquity Chaos Void is more than 10 times more terrifying than before. The first layer already has the divine intent of a true immortal king. Lu Hui said, although Chun Hao's seventh anima was almost exactly the same as Chun Hao's original body, the memories of his cultivation experience were completely stripped away. Therefore, the seventh anima only knew that his original body had gone to the ancient chaos desolation domain. As for what he had experienced, what he had gained, and so on, he did not know. This was also the reason why Chun Hao wanted to let the seventh life cultivate again. It would be good for his strength after the fusion. The divine intent of a true immortal king already exists in the first layer, but it doesn't matter. Master is taking me there, and you're accompanying me. If I can gain experience, then so be it. If I can't, then so be it. The seventh life said. Lu Hui didn't answer. She only frowned slightly. She knew about the antiquity Chaos Void and concluded that Yilan must have brought the seventh life there for some reason. After all, that place wasn't suitable for the seventh life. Buzz. As they spoke, the two of them exited the gate of time and space and appeared beside Yilan. Senior Yilan. Lu Hui nodded slightly. Lu Hui, the reincarnated immortal emperor, had been told many times by Yilan not to bow to him. He could not accept it. Although Lu Hui's current realm was only that of the Daluo Jinxian, he knew her true identity and did not dare to accept her bow. Greetings, Master. Seventh Anima clasped his hands. Brat. Yilan blew his beard and glared. Obviously, he was still furious. Taking liberties with a woman in front of him was truly lawless. However, Yilan didn't flare up. He looked at Lu Hui and continued. Little Hui, you came at the right time. Let's make a trip to the ancient chaos desolation region together. Sure. However, Senior Yilan, is something the matter? It's not suitable for little Seven to go to the ancient chaos desolation domain to train. That's right. We're looking for a secret realm. The reason why I asked this kid to go is because of his extremely high providence and his ability to sense secret realms. It's good that you're here. With the two of you, it should be easy to find them. Yilan said. Secret realm? What are its functions? What are its benefits? How did you know, Master? Seventh Anima asked excitedly. This guy's extremely high providence and his special ability to sense space made him the best candidate to discover secret realms. It was also because of this special ability that he often gained enlightenment and discovered secret realms. The benefits he obtained were undoubtedly enormous. Lu Hui, on the other hand, was slightly surprised. The current Yilan was a true celestial king. So how powerful was a secret realm that could draw his attention? Do you know why Master was so certain that you're far inferior to your true self? Yilan looked at Chun Hao's seventh anima. He didn't answer, but instead asked a question of his own. TCH, isn't it because first impressions are the strongest? He's the true self, and I'm just a derivative. In your hearts, to put it bluntly, what am I? I'm just his vassal. He gave birth to me, left me behind, and completely connected my memories and mental state outside of cultivation. That was a mistake in itself. You might think of me as him, but which one of you thinks of me as him? I acknowledge you as my master, yet you keep comparing me to him. What's the meaning of that? Xiao Hui spends more time with me, but that's only because she misses him, isn't it? No matter what, I'm still your man. Ever since I've grown up, I can't even hug you. No matter how strong I am, how can I be strong in your hearts? I'm just a puppet, a substitute. Seventh Anima was just casually speaking, but the more he spoke, the more annoyed he became. He even began to spit at Yilan and Lu Hui. What nonsense are you spouting? You're him, and he's you. In the end, the two of you will merge and become one. I said you're inferior to your true self because I just saw your true self. Yilan reprimanded. Huh, what? Seventh Anima, and Lu Hui's eyes widened in surprise. Senior Yilan, Brother Hao. Brother Hao is back? How? Lu Hui's eyes were filled with tears. Why didn't he come looking for her when he was back? Where is he? I want to fight to the death with him. I want to see who's stronger. Seventh Anima said excitedly, his whole body surging with a strong desire to fight. He was Chun Hao, and Chun Hao was him. It was precisely because of Chun Hao's unreservedness that Seventh Anima felt that he was the most important. In the beginning, there was no distinction between them, but as time passed and they had their own experiences, he began to put himself first and rejected his true self. This was much more intense than the other animus. There was no helping it. He had his own consciousness and had connected too many things, so naturally his desire would swell. This was the most genuine expression of human nature. Move aside. Yilan slapped Seventh Anima to the side, then hurriedly turned to Lu Hui. Xiao Hui, he didn't come back. I only saw his image in a space similar to the second world. It's like this. Yilan quickly told Lu Hui and the Seventh Anima about the immortal emperor's kiliacosm of worlds, Earth, the kiliacosm of primeval chaos, and the immortal world. Now, Lu Hui's grievance was gone, and she was just as excited as the Seventh Anima. The path of the immortal emperor. Ha! The intersection of the three worlds will be the time for me to become the master. Ha! True self, I'll definitely beat you. When we merge, I'll be the master. Seventh Anima roared excitedly in his mind. Just as Yilan had guessed, Chun Hao would have to compete with Seventh Anima on the path of the immortal emperor. It sounded funny, but it was the truth. Unless Chun Hao and Seventh Anima met earlier than the immortal world and merged earlier, there was no way to avoid it. However, the immortal world's space-time laws and time restrictions meant that it was impossible for Seventh Anima and Seventh Anima to meet before stepping onto the path of the immortal emperor. Chapter 1257. The Path of the Immortal Emperor. Can I step onto the path of the immortal emperor? After a brief moment of excitement, Lu Hui thought of Yi Lan's explanation of the path of the immortal emperor and asked worriedly. The immortal emperor ruled the world and controlled the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The path of the immortal emperor was filled with countless geniuses, and only one could become an emperor. Of course you can. You are the reincarnation of the immortal emperor. The path of the immortal emperor is the path of your awakening. Why not? You don't have to worry about competing with Hao. The so-called immortal emperor in the legends is just a legend. What is the true mystery of the path of the immortal emperor? Where is the end? In countless years, no one has stepped into the immortal emperor realm. How can anyone know? Besides, even if you don't enter the path of the immortal emperor, you will continue to awaken as your cultivation increases until you step into the immortal emperor realm. Although the process may be very long. Yilan said, Oh, as long as it's not Brother Hao, it's fine. Senior, let's go. Let's go. Seventh Life shouted. Okay, the great world of CND, Planet Dahua Academy. Did you hear? Last night, the Dahua Pavilion specially recruited a monstrous genius. Nonsense, such a monstrous genius has appeared. In the entire Dahua Academy, besides those who are in seclusion, those who are out training, and those who are in the immortal world. Who doesn't know? Indeed, a potential value of 4,647 is a little scary. Plus, the Dahua Pavilion deliberately promoted it. It's a little hard not to know. Yeah, the monstrous geniuses in this batch of new students were all snatched away by the true Martial Pavilion. The Dahua Pavilion lost face. How could they not promote a monstrous genius that surpassed the Fart King? Okay, let's go quickly. We won't be able to see it if we're late. Okay, we have to see it. In the 10 pavilions of the Dahua Academy, Daluo Jingxian and the cultivators of the Grand Miss Supremacy realm were discussing in groups of 3 to 5 as they quickly flew toward the test center's pagoda monument. The reason was because of a piece of news that had shaken the entire academy. Last night, Dahua Pavilion had specially recruited an evildoer whose life could only be described as abnormal. He was an outsider who had just entered Dahua City and was tested to have a potential value of 4,647, which was a few hundred points higher than Fatty Li Yuan. However, just based on this potential value, the number 1 academy in the great world of CND would fight over him. The Grand Pavilion announced to the public that this specially recruited monster would undergo a comprehensive assessment at noon today. Everyone knew that the Dahua Pavilion had deliberately announced this in order to save face for this recruitment. However, it had to be said that it had really attracted everyone's attention. Brother Fatty, Brother Feng, Brother Guangfin. Big news. Big news. Last night, Dahua Pavilion specially recruited a terrifying monster with a potential value of 4,647 points. Hurry up and come out. The assessment is about to begin. Let's go take a look. Su Tao, In Su Su, and the others who were living in the palace area of the Daluo Golden Wonderland received the news not long after they left the immortal realm. They hurriedly ran over to inform Chun Hao and the others. There was no doubt that this was a big deal for them, especially for Fatty, Shuefian, Lingfeng, and Ao Qian. Chi. What's his potential value? Lingfeng, who had the soaring Pegasus technique, was the first to come out and ask directly. 4647? Shuefian's expression was full of surprise. How is that possible? Brother Fatty only has a little over 4,100 points. Ao Qian was equally shocked. It was also at this time that Chun Hao and Si Xian walked out of the temporary palace. However, what surprised everyone was that Fatty was not surprised at all. It's absolutely true. His potential value is 4,647. The entire academy is in an uproar. The dean and the other higher-ups have all gone to see that guy take the assessment. It's just potential value. It doesn't represent one's strength. What's there to be surprised about? Fatty said calmly. Brother Fatty, 4,647. How can his strength be weak with such a potential value? Let's go quickly. This guy is definitely one of the biggest obstacles to us competing for the seat of chief. The Hua Pavilion's public assessment. We have to take a good look. Ao Qian said. Let's go. Chi. Ling Feng was the first to step out. Chi. Soon after, Ao Qian, Shuefian, Su Tao, In Su Su, and the others also rose into the air. Clearly, everyone wanted to see. The public assessment was exactly the same as the assessment when entering the academy. The only difference was that the cultivator assessment was open to everyone. As long as one went to the assessment center, they would be able to see every action of the cultivator assessment. To many people, this was undoubtedly the best opportunity to observe and learn. To the examinees, it was an opportunity to earn fame and fortune. Let's go, what are you waiting for? Si Xian transmitted her voice. All right, damn it, this score is really hard to control. I feel like I only performed a little better. How is it 500 points higher? Chen Hao shrugged helplessly. With a swing of his butt, he pulled Si Xian and chased after Ling Feng. This was a very boring thing to do. What was there to see in watching one's own assessment? He couldn't dampen the mood of his brothers and sisters. Moreover, as Ao Qian said, it was obviously a strong competitor. It would be abnormal if he performed too calmly. F***CK, there are so many people. When Chun Hao and the others arrived at the assessment center, the entire square was filled with people, people squeezing, people on top of people, people below people, front and back, left and right. This was truly a King sea of people. There are too many people from the Dahua Pavilion. This is definitely a mandatory viewing, right? In Susu said, "Look, the Dahua Pavilion's pavilion master, vice pavilion master, and other higher-ups are all here. They even invited the dean, vice dean, and the other 9 pavilions' pavilion masters, vice pavilion masters, and teachers. In order to create momentum for one person, they used so much power. It seems like the Dahua Pavilion treats this specially recruited monster as a treasure. They will definitely nurture him with all their might." Su Tao said with a hint of shock. 47 points in the preliminary assessment, and he's someone who just stepped into the great world of CND. It's very scary. At least it hasn't appeared in the Dahua Academy. For the Dahua Pavilion to be able to invite so many higher-ups to watch, it's not because of the Dahua Pavilion's reputation, but more because they want to see the performance of this monster genius. Xue Fian, who didn't speak much, suddenly transmitted her voice to the crowd. "Brother, I want to see what kind of monster genius he is," Ling Feng said. The appearance of Chun Hao and the others undoubtedly attracted the attention of many people, just like Murong Qianhua, Xin Yuanshan, Tang Hu, and the others who had arrived earlier in the other direction. 4,647 points in the preliminary assessment. Brother, with such a result, even in the first academy, he could enter the top 100. Xin Yuanshan transmitted his voice. Potential value doesn't represent everything. Let's wait and see. If we can absorb him into our starlight, it's undoubtedly the best. Fatty and the others are here too. Don't let them beat us to it. Murong Qianhua said calmly. More. Thank you again, Brother Yution, and Book Friend 513195352 for your support. Chapter 1258. Finally, when it was noon, a figure suddenly appeared on the huge display screen of the assessment center. Damn, isn't he too handsome? Handsome and unrestrained, elegant and graceful, a pear blossom overshadowing the begonia, loved by everyone, and blooming flowers. What surprised Ao Qian, Ling Feng, Xue Fian, Su Tao, and the others was that Fatty's eyes widened the moment he saw the video. Even though the video showed that this monstrous genius was indeed a little cold and handsome, it wasn't as exaggerated as what Fatty had said, right? Looking at the Fatty's shining eyes, Ao Qian, Ling Feng, and Su Tao could not help but have goosebumps. Damn, is this Fatty the type that kills both men and women? He's just a little bit worse than me. The Fatty finally said the last sentence that made everyone despise him. You can compare talent and strength, but you have a nerve to compare handsomeness? Among everyone, only Ao Qian, the skinny monkey, can compete with you. Yes, he is indeed very handsome. He's just a little bit worse than the Fatty, and 10 streets worse than me. Whoosh! Ling Feng opened his folding fan and said with a serious and meticulous expression. So cool. Brother Feng, although I don't want to say it, I have to say that this monster genius is definitely on par with you. I'm talking about his appearance. Insusu could not help but say. Her eyes were glowing as she looked at the screen. He's not as flamboyant as Ling Feng, but he's cooler than Ling Feng. Susu, I'm not scolding you, but I'm just telling the truth, understand? He's one of us, so don't be reserved with him. Damn. Ling Feng cursed at Ao Qian. It's starting The Fatty stepped between the two rivals. Beep. The moment the first test began, the young man in the image took out his token. His name, Chun Tian, and his potential value were directly displayed on the huge screen. Originally, when they saw the appearance of this monstrous genius, it made the hearts of countless female disciples tremble. Although it wasn't as exaggerated as the Fatty's praise, he was indeed handsome and suave. Especially that sharp and slightly cold expression of his. It was more in line with his monstrous potential value. At this time, when they saw the name of this monster genius, it caused even more shock. F*CK, Ritian, Mother***, how dare you shout? How arrogant. One look, and I can tell he's a real man, a real man. He had seen arrogant people before, but he had never seen someone with such an arrogant name, especially when this name was paired with his cold expression and monstrous talent. It gave people the feeling that he was even more arrogant. Moreover, it was the kind of arrogance that he had the right to be. Cixin secretly glared at Chun Hao. Even she did not expect that Chun Hao would use this name. Fortunately, he was now using Li Yuan and not Chun Hao. This little fellow is interesting. This old man is looking forward to seeing what his test results will be. Even the dean of the School of Chinese Arts and Sciences could not help but praise. Even though it was just an image, a person's temperament, eyes, and expression could usually be used to determine their strength. The young man in the image gave off a cold and arrogant feeling, and the depths of his eyes contained an endless murderous aura. This kind of person was definitely a ruthless person, and he definitely had the qualifications to look down on everyone in the same realm. Otherwise, he would definitely not have such a temperament. This was definitely not something that could be faked. Dean, since I invited you to watch, I naturally have the confidence to give you a surprise. Ri Tian, as long as we can keep him, it will definitely be the glory of our school. The pavilion master said, "Let's see." An outsider who just entered the great world of CND and was lucky enough to be accepted by us, but it will be difficult for him to stay for a long time. This is not a matter of whether the treatment is good or bad, but it's not impossible. Our school's luck seems to have changed. Fatty Li Yuan, Chun Si, Ling Feng, Ao Qian, Murong Qianhua, Xin Yuan Chun, Tang Hu. Now, Chun Ri Tian, is it really a coincidence? Is it all because of the appearance of her disciple, Xue Fian? The dean said, Perhaps they are related, but I don't think so. Xue Fian might still be hiding something, but it should be very limited. Otherwise, she wouldn't have lost to Fatty Li Yuan Kai. After all, no one would be willing to lose to him. Yes, it's hard to predict. Anyway, it's a good thing for our school. Let's see. Old man will try his best to keep them. Boom! Amidst the buzz of discussion, the cold and arrogant Chun Ri Tian began the first part of the basic test, the attack power test. His fist shone brightly and mysterious runes gathered on his fist. As he punched, the star core on the testing device lit up from bottom to top and finally stopped at 2190. Boom! Boom! Chun Ri Tian seemed to have seen the number before he attacked again. This time, he punched twice consecutively, and it was 2250, 2300. Boom! Boom! Following that, Chun Ri Tian began to throw punches continuously. Initially, the 2190 attack power had already shocked everyone. Back then, Fatty's first 90-plus attacks only dealt around 2070. However, Chun Ri Tian's attack power was more than 100 to 200 higher than Fatty's. Now, what shocked everyone even more was that after the 3 punches that seemed to be probing attacks, the continuous attack power had all increased to 2,300. It was so accurate that there wasn't a single fluctuation. What kind of abnormal control did one have to be able to do that? Fatty, what are you doing? No one knew that Cixin, who was equally shocked, asked him telepathically. Yesterday, I had an idea. I wanted to defy the heavens. So, I decided to defy the heavens without holding back. I wanted to shock the entire great transforming star and even the great world of CND. Chun Ri Tian. I used this name when I was in ancient chaos. Others might not know, but how could my father not know? Besides, even if they don't know, just by looking at this name, my father, Master Han Mei, and my mother should be able to guess that it's me. Outsider Chun Ri Tian, strong massacre intent. 3 points is enough, Chun Hao said telepathically. So, you didn't make the potential value so high because you couldn't control it? Cixin asked. I didn't control it well. There's no pattern to the potential value test. The difference between good and bad is too big, Chun Hao said. Oh, but it's a good idea to find Chun Wuliang, Han Mei, and Xue Mei. Cixin agreed with Chun Hao's approach. As for whether it was high profile or not, it didn't matter. Anyway, it was Chun Hao's 8th life. His main body was in the dark, and there wouldn't be any problems. Moreover, Chun Hao's 9 lives profound technique was very powerful. Unlike herself, it was very difficult for others to find out. Cough, cough, manners. Si Xian, do you know what manners are? You're my Dao companion now. How can you call my parents by their names? You're just a Dao companion in disguise. Do you really think it's real? Si Xian was slightly stunned. Chapter 1259. Unlike Chun Hao and Si Xian, who were flirting with each other, Xue Fian, Ling Feng, Ao Qian, and Murong Qianhua's people were all anxious. Although it was still unknown how many times Chen Ritian's last attack would be, it was already amazing that he could continuously deal out 2,300 attack power. Coupled with his abnormal control, there was not even a single error. This made the group of monstrous geniuses feel immense pressure. Boom! When the 100th strike was unleashed, the entire tester shook violently. Star cores lit up from the bottom to the top at an astonishing speed. The onlookers widened their eyes and held their breaths. How strong would the strongest strike be? 15,000, 18,000. He has surpassed Fatty Li Yuan. 20,432. Whoosh! The final number, 20432, caused the crowd to explode. It broke the record of the Daluo Golden Wonderland of the University of Dahua. This wasn't just breaking the record of the preliminary test. It was the highest record of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. The significance was completely different. This meant that the strongest attack of all the disciples of the Daluo Golden Wonderland of the University of Dahua couldn't reach the height of Chun Ritian's 20432. Soon, the results were shown. The average attack of the 100th attack was 2,481. The strongest attack was 20432, which was more than 8 times the average attack. The final attack was 5 times the average attack, which was 8,684 points. It was amazing. Xue Fian, who had the highest attack, only had around 6,000 points. When the Pavilion Master of the Great Transformation Pavilion and the higher-ups of the Great Transformation Pavilion saw the surprised Dean and the other Pavilion Masters, they were in a good mood. The gloominess of the true Martial Pavilion being in the limelight during the recruitment was swept away. Although they couldn't get back the disciples who had chosen the true Martial Pavilion, they could at least vent their anger. How could the most talented disciple of the Dahua Academy not be in the Great Transformation Pavilion? The reason why they held the test with such fanfare and invited many higher-ups was to vent their anger. They wanted to prove and tell everyone that Chun Ritian's talent and potential were stronger. The most monstrous genius was still in the Great Transformation Pavilion. So handsome, so cool, so powerful. It would be great if I could become his cultivation partner. It's hard to meet such a monstrous genius even in the top academies, right? If nothing goes wrong, there will definitely be a place for him on the path of the immortal emperor in the future. It is said that he has just stepped into the great world of CND. He will definitely become stronger after some time. Of course, even though the assessment has just begun, I can confirm that this is an extremely terrifying fellow. There will always be someone stronger than you. Chun Ritian is really strong. Originally, he thought that Fart King Li Yuan and Xue Fian would definitely become the first seat of the Grand Luo realm. Who would have thought that Chun Ritian would appear? Moreover, he was much stronger than the two of them. That's awesome. Buzzing sounds of discussion filled the entire square. Everyone was shocked by Chun Ritian's terrifying attack power. Even though this was only the beginning of the examination, with his abnormal potential value, he only needed one test to verify most of it. No matter how bad the later tests were, there would be a bottom line, and it wouldn't be too bad. Reality proved everyone's guess. None of Chun Ritian's subsequent tests were less shocking than his attack power. His speed surpassed Ling Feng's Pegasus Starry Sky art by 200 points, setting a new record. The endurance test activated the law of time and space 100 times. Even so, the spectators watched for more than 4 hours. Chun Ritian persisted for 20 days, breaking the highest record of the University of Dahua. As for the combat strength test, countless cultivators from the Daluo Golden Wonderland and the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm were terrified. Even Ao Qian, Ling Feng, Shui Fian, Murong Qianhua, Xian Yuanshun, Tang Hu, and other top geniuses felt a chill down their spines. Kill. It was a crazy massacre, a massacre without any regard for the cost, a massacre with their lives on the line. Even though it was a simulated opponent, it felt 100% real, bloody, terrifying. It made everyone realize that Chun Ritian was definitely a cold-blooded and ruthless madman. At the same time, it also made everyone see Chun Ritian's abnormal recovery ability. If it wasn't for this, it would be impossible for him to fight in such a way. Brother Fatty, this guy's killing will is not inferior to your killing inheritance. It's too cold-blooded, too terrifying. He's simply a killing machine. What's more terrifying is that his recovery ability is so amazing. Damn, the feeling of reality is even more ruthless. When Chun Ritian broke the record of the University of Dahua's Daluo Golden Wonderland test and stepped out of the test center, Ao Qian, who was talking about Chun Ritian, felt Chun Ritian's real aura and immediately shuddered. What a cold guy. Ling Feng was similarly surprised. However, he was slightly startled after he finished speaking. His eyes immediately emitted an unusual glow that could not be detected. Immediately, he turned around abruptly and looked at Chun Hao. He transmitted his voice. Fatty, he's the same kind of person. It's good that you know. Chun Hao was already mentally prepared and said to Ling Feng telepathically. Ling Feng also had the Eye Esper ability, which was also the ultimate form of the Great Change technique. When Chun Hao met him for the first time, they both saw through each other. The only difference was that Ling Feng couldn't see Fatty's real appearance. This was a problem with the Esper ability. Before Chun Hao let out Chun Ritian, which was the 8th life derived from his killing will, to join the University of Dahua, he naturally couldn't use his real appearance. After all, when he was in the combat strength testing tower, his glabella was exposed except for the killing will. Although he was mistakenly thought that the killing will had given birth to sentience, his real appearance was his real appearance. If Chun Ritian used his real appearance, he would definitely be recognized. Therefore, he could only use the ultimate form of the Great Change technique to disguise himself. It was not surprising that Ling Feng's Eye Esper ability could see through it. This guy is very strong. I can feel that his mind only has martial arts. Otherwise, he wouldn't have such a pure killing will and a unified aura. Competing with such a person will put a lot of pressure on us. Ling Feng said telepathically. What are you afraid of? If he dares to jump around in front of Lord Fatty, I'll just sit him to death. This is just a small university of Dahua. Look further. We have even stronger competitors in the top academies, the First Academy, and even a monstrous geniuses hidden in the First Academy like us. Fatty's fat face was brimming with confidence as he spoke telepathically. Fatty had to admit that if it weren't for the fact that he was in his 8th anima, he would have felt the same pressure as Ling Feng and Ao Qian if he saw other cultivators with such monstrous results. It couldn't be helped. The strength displayed by the 8th life represented Chun Hao's current peak strength. If there was anything that made Fatty's real body stronger than the 8th life, it would be that he had absolute control over his soul. This was the strongest life form that Chun Hao had derived in his strongest state. They had the same strength. Chapter 1260. Fatty, why aren't the two of you with us in the Celestial Realm? We just joined the battle team, and we need to get used to each other as soon as possible. It won't be too late for you to act alone then. Ling Feng said on the way back to the temporary palace. That's right, Brother Fatty. It's just becoming Daluo Jinxian. With the comprehension of the heavenly Tao and the hundredfold space-time law, you'll be able to improve very quickly. You can do missions and get used to each other at the same time. There's nothing to lose. Ao Guang agreed with Ling Feng for the first time. Although Shui Fian did not say anything, she looked at Chun Hao and Si Xian with a questioning gaze. I see. I wanted to accompany Cece. All right then, you're not allowed to bully me because my cultivation level is low. I'll go with you this time, but Cece has to cultivate in seclusion. She can't come with us. As you can see, Cece has to pay a lot for her life force. The space-time law and heavenly Tao law in the celestial realm are very useful to her, So sister-in-law has cultivated an ultimate technique that can increase her lifespan? Amazing, Ao Guang said in surprise. Shuefian looked at Si Xian with a hint of envy. Of course, she was not envious of Si Xian herself, but of Si Xian's ultimate technique that could increase her lifespan. With Si Xian's current life, aura, and appearance, since she hadn't consumed some kind of heaven-defying elixir, then she naturally cultivated an ultimate technique that allowed her to not age and greatly increase her lifespan. This was a fatal attraction to any woman. Si Xian knew that Chun Hao was covering for her, but she did not expect Chun Hao to use such an excuse. Si Xian blushed slightly. Age was nothing in the world of cultivation, and not many people paid attention to it. However, if one was much older, it would be a different story. It could be said that age had been Si Xian's biggest weakness ever since she stepped into the great world of CND. Since that's the case, I won't force you. Fatty, you can do as you see fit. If you want to come with us, then come with us. If you want to accompany sister-in-law, then accompany her. I'm very easy to talk to as the team leader. F*CK. What team leader? It's just a matter of time. Why are you so excited? Fatty Bro's results are number one. Naturally, Fatty Bro will be the team leader. Ao Qian said. The space of the immortal world is the space of the immortal world, and the outside world is the outside world. Monkey, you have to understand. Fatty shrugged nonchalantly and pulled Si Xian into their palace. Shuefian did the same. Clearly, they were already used to Ling Feng and Ao Qian's arguments. Wang. After returning to the palace, Chun Hao and Si Xian couldn't wait to activate the Spirit Realm helmet. What made Chun Hao surprised was that, just like the first time he entered, he once again appeared between the auspicious clouds. The towering immortal palace was faintly discernible, as if it was close at hand, yet also as far away as the horizon. Chun Hao, I've discovered that you have a total of 4 source bodies. They're all in the great world of CND. You're practicing the 9 lives profound technique, aren't you? His comprehension was quite deep. As far as he was concerned, it was second only to the Celestial River King. I need your opinion on where they were born. Is it Earth or the great world of CND? You can choose. As the heavenly music sounded, a familiar and pleasant voice floated into Chun Hao's ears. You can even discover this? Of course, in the space of the immortal realm, nothing can be hidden from me. Previously, the situation that Yi Lan of Ancient Chaos told you about wasn't too accurate. Ancient Chaos has already recovered its original supreme heavenly Tao laws. Also, there are countless cultivators here. All the facilities naturally have to be rebuilt in Ancient Chaos. As for Earth, although it has been maintaining the supreme heavenly Tao, it's in a condensed state. Moreover, there's no one else except you, a cultivator. It's too wasteful to rebuild the facilities. I'll just play with you. You monitoring our communication? I can't help it. Who asked you to be the only cultivator on Earth? I'm very curious. Okay. IF*. Chun Hao cursed in his heart. This is too unethical, right? Even if you're monitoring, you have to pretend that you don't know. A GM should have the awareness and professional integrity of a GM. How can you do this? What's worse is that you want to play with me. You want me to play with you? Can you not be so human? Especially when your voice is so F**king pleasant to listen to. You, how are you going to play with me? Chun Hao couldn't help but ask. It's very simple. You can treat me as a multifunctional facility. Whatever the great world of CND has, I can provide it to you. Of course, the conditions are the same as the great world of CND. Oh, okay. Hurry up and tell me where your other lives. They are the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th lives. If they come over, they'll annoy me to death. The great world of CND. In the future, my 2nd and 8th lives will be immortal emperors. My 7th life is in ancient chaos. When the time comes, I'll be in ancient chaos. Okay, that's not a problem. Also, the life origin imprint is yours, and the communication number is based on the life origin. Therefore, your communication number is the same. However, just like the outside world, your original body is the absolute controller. Therefore, you can set it yourself. Whether it's connected or one-way, etc. You can do that? That's great. I've been having a headache. I still have to go through a transfer. That's too troublesome. Chen Hao was surprised. Originally, he'd wanted Chen Ritian to disguise himself in the immortal realm and join the Carnage Battle Squad. That would have been fine, but it would have been very troublesome. This was because he'd already given his communication number to Su Tao and the others. When the time came, they'd have to go through his original body to contact the eighth life. Although this could be done in a matter of minutes, if Chun Hao's original body was on Earth, it would have been inconvenient. He'd have to act in concert with the eighth life. But now, hearing the words of the NPC solved this problem. Chen Hao, there's something I need to tell you. You must keep my existence a secret, because in the entire immortal realm, only you can enjoy the treatment of me personally serving you. Aren't you a system NPC? Chen Hao asked in surprise. In Chen Hao's opinion, although this voice was a bit human, it was definitely an NPC. After all, every cultivator would encounter one. It couldn't be that he was the only one special. NPC, is that what you call it in the game on Earth? Hee. Chen Hao, you're so cute. This is the immortal realm, the boundless starry sky, the only way to embark on the path to becoming an immortal emperor. Every blade of grass, every tree, every grain of sand, every rock, they're all real existences. Of course, you'll only understand this after your Yang spirit and Yin's spirit combine. As for me, I'm great. It won't be too late to tell you when you have the chance to meet me. For now, I can tell you my name. My surname is Yang, and my name is Lu Yen. Chapter 1261. Yang Lu Yen. Chun Hao repeated, feeling that this name was a little strange. Yang is my father's surname, and Lu is my mother's surname. Is it strange? Yang Lu Yen seemed to see through Chun Hao, and her pleasant voice sounded again. It is indeed a little strange, but since your parents' surnames are Yang and Lu are normal. Graceful Yang Lu, Yen, smart and beautiful, not bad. I say, student Yang Lu Yen, although I am the only cultivator on Earth, which makes you very curious, shouldn't you also have a limit? Chen Hao said. He didn't feel anything about the name Yang Lu Yen at all. It was just an ordinary name. What do you mean? It's fine if you read all my memories, but now there's no need to monitor my heart in real time. Don't you think it's boring? Besides, I can't control what I think. It's hard to guarantee that I won't have any unhealthy thoughts. Chen Hao said, No, when did I monitor your heart? Besides, I can't read all your memories at will. I'm not that bored. What I know is the most basic information about your birth and cultivation. Then why do you seem to be very familiar with Earth? Chen Hao asked hurriedly when he heard Yang Liuyan's words. Although he knew that his question was idiotic, after all, how could the existence in the immortal realm not know the situation on Earth? Although he was the only cultivator on Earth in the immortal realm, it didn't mean that there weren't any cultivators on Earth before. It was not strange that she was familiar with Earth or of the current Earth. Perhaps the immortal realm itself could monitor the connected upper-class world at any time. However, Chun Hao still asked this. His purpose was very simple. He just wanted to get some information about Earth from Yang Liuyan's mouth. What am I not familiar with? Although I wasn't born on Earth, I was born on Earth like you and stayed on Earth for many years. What's so strange about that? No way, Chun Hao said in surprise. Immediately, his fat face revealed an extremely excited expression. He said, fellow countrymen. Student Yang Lu Yen, we are actually fellow countrymen. This is great. Chen Hao, you are so fake. Do you want to know the secrets of Earth? Or do you want to find the way to Earth? Yang Lu Yen chuckled and said directly. Chun Hao suddenly showed a trace of embarrassment. His acting skills were first class. How could he be seen through at a glance? What was even worse was that Yang Lu Yen had directly hit the nail on the head. This made Chun Hao wonder if the other party was monitoring his thoughts. Unfortunately, I don't know much about Earth's current situation, so I can't tell you. As for the way back to Earth, I know, but it's useless to tell you. With your current ability, it's impossible for you to reach the boundless starry sky and thousands of galaxies. When a young spirit and a young spirit become one, you will embark on the path of the immortal emperor, open the gate of the immortal world, and enter the real immortal world. At that time, it will be very simple to go to Earth. This should be your only way, because only the immortal world has the Milky Way tunnel to Earth. Yang Luyin continued. Although there was no exact answer that Chen Hao wanted, the information contained was already a lot for Chen Hao. After frowning slightly and muttering to himself, Chen Hao asked, below the immortal emperor realm, such as the powerful true immortal king, can't open the Milky Way tunnel to return to Earth. Even the immortal emperor can't, let alone the true immortal king. The distance between the endless galaxies is really far. Secondly, Earth is different from ancient chaos and the great world of CND. It is one way isolated from the starry sky. As you can see, the boundless world is condensed on Earth, and the surface of Earth is an absolute secular world, just like the age of chaos and the nirvana space. Moreover, it is only a little bit big, and no one can lock its position. Only by entering the boundless world condensed on Earth can one truly connect to the starry sky. However, this is one way. In other words, you can locate the starry sky in the boundless world of Earth, but in the starry sky, because of the shielding of Earth itself, you can't locate Earth. This is also different from ancient chaos and the immortal emperor. Therefore, not everyone can open the Milky Way tunnel to Earth. Well, student Chen Hao, this is all I can tell you. Moreover, I only told you about the immortal world. Although it's not much, I can't tell others. The reason I told you is because we are from the same hometown. Moreover, you have fused with a mutated soul, so it shouldn't be a big problem for you to step on the path of the immortal emperor. So there's no harm in telling you. Now, I'll give you a description of all the facilities in the great world of CND in the immortal world. If you need anything, as long as you meet the requirements, you can apply for it from me. Buzz. Yang Luyin hadn't said so much for a long time. Although the content she said was irrelevant, she had never mentioned it to anyone in the immortal world. To put it bluntly, there was no one who had enjoyed Chen Hao's treatment. To be precise, for all the cultivators, the controller of the immortal world was a mysterious, aloof, and emotionless existence. Just as Yang Luyin said, Chen Hao had benefited from the fact that he was from the same hometown and had fused with a mutated soul. How long had it been since a cultivator from Earth appeared in the immortal world? It could only be described as endless years. Yang Luyin, who was also from Earth, received the information that Chen Hao was from Earth. How could she not be surprised and surprised? However, what Yang Luyin was most curious about was Chen Hao's fusion with a mutated soul. She was looking forward to it, because, after Chen Hao quickly finished reading the information sent by Yang Luyin, he let out a long breath and said, "What an abnormal space." However, this also shows that the immortal world is not as simple as a second world. It can swallow the spiritual objects of the real world to maintain its operation and also feed back to the greater thousand world. It's really incredible. Yang Luyin's information was an introduction and explanation of the various facilities in the great world of CND. As long as Chen Hao met the conditions, Yang Luyin could satisfy him alone in the greater thousand world on Earth. However, the so-called conditions were very vulgar. In Chen Hao's view, they were absolutely vulgar and realistic to the extreme. Money. Of course, the so-called money for cultivators was spiritual objects of the world, natural treasures, magic treasures, and other things that were valuable to cultivators. However, any spiritual objects of the world and magic treasures here were calculated by the amount of energy they contained, and the spiritual energy of the world contained in a celestial core crystal was the unit of measurement. If cultivators needed some kind of cultivation facilities, they had to integrate enough spiritual objects of the world or celestial core crystals into the space contained in the spiritual helmet when they entered the immortal world. In this way, they would be swallowed by the immortal world. Part of them would be used to maintain the operation of the immortal world, and the other part would be fed back to the greater thousand world where the cultivator belonged. Of course, the greater thousand world mentioned here could only be the great world of CND, Earth, and the greater thousand world of ancient chaos, which were connected to the immortal world. An outsider like Ling Feng was naturally a cultivator of the great world of CND. Chun Hao, who was from Earth, and Si Xian, who was from ancient chaos, were beyond the scope of the great world of CND. The spiritual objects of the world they consumed were also fed back to Earth and ancient chaos. Chapter 1262. The great world of CND is getting stronger and stronger. It's definitely related to its openness to the greater thousand worlds. The spiritual items and Dharma treasures brought by an outsider to the great world of CND, as well as the energy contained in the realm of the outsider, are all treasures. Coupled with the increasing popularity, it's hard not to be strong. Chun Hao said in a low voice. Beep. At this moment, the voice of a message rang out in Chun Hao's mind again. His consciousness merged into it. It turned out that Yang Luyan had successfully connected the communication numbers of Chun Hao's third anima, fourth anima from the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Tree, fifth anima from the Tree of Life, and sixth anima from the Spirit Spring Sea. All right, you can check their information at any time. As for whether you want them to know of your existence, that's up to you. If there's no problem, you can go in. Yang Luyan said. If I want to contact you, I don't have to exit the immortal world space and enter again, right? Chun Hao asked. Of course not. Send a system message, and I'll appear. What about a battle team? I'm the only one on Earth. I can't possibly form a battle team by myself, right? A battle team is a requirement. There's no other way. However, if you're the only one, it's just a battle team. The number of people in the battle team also determines the number and difficulty of the missions. It won't affect you much. The real use is that after stepping on the path to becoming an immortal emperor, it'll be safer to have a battle team to look after each other. Although lone rangers are rare on the path to becoming an immortal emperor, there are still some. You don't have to worry about that. Moreover, on the path to becoming an immortal emperor, your other lives can join you. Of course, the prerequisite is that your other lives are also qualified to enter the path to becoming an immortal emperor. I see. Any other questions? Not for the time being. Then goodbye. I'll send you in. Buzz. As Yang Luyan spoke, Chun Hao disappeared from the ethereal state of stillness in the void and descended into the greater thousand world that was condensed on Earth in the space of the immortal world. This was also the place where he had left from the last time. Through the communication number, Chun Hao learned about the situation of the four great beings who had already entered the great cosmos. The four of them were all born in one of the 3,000 main planets. They were all different from each other, and there was no connection between them. Similarly, Chun Hao did not know which city in the great world of CND they had landed in. However, the four great beings had one thing in common that made Chun Hao's original body feel ashamed. They had all entered the top academy in such a high-profile manner. The second life condensed from the power of faith had yet to appear, and Chun Hao did not know what the situation was like. However, as long as the second life entered the immortal realm, Yang Luyan would set its communication number under his name, so there was nothing to worry about. Because I became the controller of the ancient chaos, the power of faith in the second life must have soared very quickly. His battle strength is probably the fastest among the four great beings. Could it be that he went to the first academy? Chun Hao thought to himself. Very likely. This guy is proud and arrogant. He robbed me of my love and got Lu Qian. He doesn't care much about his parents in the Skyriver sector. He's also the most ambitious. Whatever, when the time comes, Yang Luyan, F*CK. After checking the situation of the four great beings, Chun Hao thought of the second life. He suddenly slapped his head and almost jumped up. Why didn't I think of asking Yang Luyan about my parents? Beep, beep, beep. Without any hesitation, Chun Hao sent a system message to Yang Luyan. Chun Hao, how can I help you? A moment later, Yang Luyan picked up the call. However, this time, although Yang Luyan's voice was still pleasant to the ears, it had lost its original emotional tone. It gave Chunhao the feeling that she was very mechanical and dull, but this time she was more like a system NPC. Student Yang Luyin, my dear fellow countryman, can I ask you about 3 people? No. Yang Liuyin's mechanical voice sounded. I definitely won't harm other people's interests. The people I want to ask about are my parents in the ancient chaos. My master's real name is Chunhao. My father, my mother, Xiumei, the parents who raised me, and my master, Hanmei. They entered the great world of Xiandi before me. Chunhao said, Sorry, I can't give you information about other cultivators. Is there anything else? Cough, cough. I say, fellow countrymen, can you give me some face? If there are no other questions, goodbye. After Yang Luyin finished speaking, she directly disconnected the communication link with Chunhao. Damn, why does she seem like a completely different person? Chunhao frowned slightly. Could it be that this is a set of mechanical answers? And the ones I met when I entered the immortal realm space were the real ones with spiritual intelligence? Chunhao thought to himself, it should be, forget it. I'll ask again when I enter the immortal realm space. Let's officially start the cultivation in the immortal realm space. Chi. Chunhao's body swayed and suddenly turned into a stream of light. At the same time, his mind was completely open. In the immortal realm space, in the greater thousand world of Earth, which had been silent for countless years, Chunhao's arrival opened a new chapter. According to the information obtained by Chunhao, the Greater Thousand World in the immortal realm space was a replica of the real Greater Thousand World. The only difference was that the number of cultivators was different. After all, only a small number of cultivators could enter the immortal realm space. At the very least, only cultivators of the Daluo Golden Wonderland and above were qualified to enter the immortal realm space. Phew, this is the real Earth. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth may not be as good as the situation in the immortal realm space but the laws of heaven are definitely not worse than that of the great world of CND. From Yang Nuyin's tone, it seems that Earth is still above the great world of CND and the greater thousand world of CND, and she was born on Earth and is in charge of the immortal realm space. This is enough to show that Earth is stronger, right? Chunhao thought to himself as he flew quickly and sized up the real Earth. After flying continuously for several days, Chunhao suddenly landed on a mountain peak and sat down cross-legged after feeling the changes in the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Phew! The laws of space and time are 100 times stronger. I can cultivate in seclusion for half a year. Finally, it's a little quieter. Chunhao slowly closed his eyes and merged his mind with heaven and earth. He began his first meditation in the immortal realm space. The first thing Chunhao had to do was to raise his realm from the initial stage of the Daluo Golden Wonderland to the same level as the outside world. Only in this way could the resonance between the cultivation in the immortal realm space and the cultivation in the real world be the strongest. According to the information that Chunhao had learned, the situation in the real world and the immortal realm space had to be the same. Only then could the cultivation in the two sides promote and integrate with each other to achieve the best results. Moreover, the main thing was to use the immortal realm space to drive the outside world. Otherwise, with the 100,000 years limit on the path of the immortal emperor, it would be very difficult for even a heaven-defying genius like Chunhao to advance to the seventh heaven of the cutting path, true immortal. Chapter 1263. Beep, beep, beep. Not long after Chunhao's original body began to meditate, he was once again interrupted by a system notification. It turned out that the eighth anima had just entered the immortal realm. Chunhao, who had already thought of what to do, directly connected his communication authority to the eighth anima and entered a meditative state again. The eighth anima, Chun Ri Qian, used his original body's name and image to contact Su Tao, Ao Qian, Ling Feng, and the others to meet in the immortal realm. Since then, Ao Qian, Ling Feng, Shui Fian, and the eighth anima began their journey in the immortal realm. None of them realized that the fatty beside them was not the real fatty, but Chun Ri Tian, who brought them great pressure. 2 days later, the true Martial Pavilion's palace for Chun Hao and the others was completed. Chun Hao, Xue Fian, Ling Feng, and Ao Qian, the four from the Daluo Golden Wonderland, were in the core area of the true Martial Pavilion's Daluo Golden Wonderland area. The four of them moved in immediately. As for Si Xian from the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm, she went to the area of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm alone. There was no other way. Only a fool would not use a palace that was suitable for their level. They couldn't just live together and forego the treatment they deserved. What's more, even if the two of them lived together, they would cultivate separately. They couldn't do anything they wanted. There was no need to waste the treatment of the top 10 in the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm. However, what annoyed Si Xian was that her palace was right next to Murong Qianhua's. Fortunately, no one could enter a cultivator's palace without the owner's permission. It wouldn't affect anything, but it would make her feel a little disgusted. Oh. What a comfortable aura. The great world of CND. So good, I like it so much. F***CK. Damn pervert, don't moan like that, okay? Why do you care if I like it? In the Immortal Emperor's Great Thousand World, on the Great Qian Star, which was also one of the 3,000 main stars like the Great Transforming Star, the void was suddenly torn apart by more than 10 figures holding hands. Outsiders. Clearly, they were like Chun Hao and Si Xian in the past. They did not go through the proper channels. Instead, they intruded into the great world of CND. If Chun Hao was here and heard the first person's voice, he would have goosebumps all over his body. Among these people, Chun Hao knew 10 of them. They were the 9 great evildoers of the chaotic vast thousand world. Zhou Qinglong, Yin Xian, Xiang Tiange, Yin Xian's Taoist companion, Xiana, and so on. In addition to these 10 people, the auras of the extra few men and women were clearly weaker than the 10 people. We're finally here. This is the legendary, the great world of CND, the most powerful world. It really lives up to its name. Just the aura alone is not comparable to our chaotic world. Yin Xian took a deep breath and said excitedly, "Yes, this is still in the wilderness. There are even more powerful cities in the city. I'm really looking forward to it." Xiang Tiange said, "Although we're looking forward to it, we still have to be cautious. The great world of CND is full of geniuses. According to the controller, with our current strength, we can barely enter the top academies. This is all thanks to Brother Chun. Little White, I miss him so much. Hee. We were delayed for such a long time because of the 3 celestial sutras and unique skills that he taught us. Maybe he has already arrived at the great world of CND. As long as he's here and has already refined the seed of life given to him, it'll be very easy for me to find him," Zhou Qinglong said with a smug look on his face. At this moment, he was already at the peak of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm. He was countless times stronger than when he was in the Hongmeng domain. However, this damn pervert's disgusting appearance had not changed at all. That's not possible. He was not even at the peak of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Moreover, he returned to their vast world through his brother, Itoda. He shouldn't be as fast as us. Don't forget that the space-time laws of each vast world are different. To be able to give birth to such a monstrous genius like Brother Chun, the space-time laws of the vast world are either much slower or much faster than ours. Is he here or not? The damn pervert can summon him as often as he wants. Of course. However, he can only sense the aura of the tree of life of the same origin if he is on the same main planet. If Little White is on another planet, he won't be able to sense him for the time being. However, didn't the controller say that a monstrous genius like Little White will shine even in the great world of CND? If he is here, even if we are not on the same main planet, we will still be able to hear about him. It will be enough to wait for the Academy ranking tournament that is held once in 1,000 years. Yes, that is indeed the case. If we can find Brother Chun, we have to help win Tan Lan no matter what. She is too pitiful. Of course. Yes, although Brother Chun only asked us to secretly help win Tan Lan and not reveal any information about him. it also shows that he is not completely heartless. I'm afraid the biggest reason is that from his point of view, we will never meet again. That's why he did that. Even he probably would not have thought that he left a brand in Nguyen Thanh Lan's soul origin, the root of love. Nguyen Thanh Lan, the woman Chun Hao's third life, the woman who Chun Hao could not forget. She was a woman who was truly and completely possessed by Chun Hao. Back then, the third life that gave birth to spiritual wisdom in the demonic realm was like a newborn child. The first person it came in contact with, accepted, and acknowledged was Nguyen Thanh Lan. After shattering Nguyen Thanh Lan's spiritual palace in an unconscious state, Chun Hao's spiritual wisdom awakened. He used the fusion of yin and yang to save Nguyen Thanh Lan. This also made Nguyen Thanh Lan the second woman after Tantai Lien, who was forced to become Chun Hao's woman. However, from the beginning to the end, Chun Hao did not say a word in Nguyen Thanh Lan until he left. He originally thought that it was just an exchange of benefits, but what was the truth? The master of the immortal scripture Sacred Land, which was also the master of the vast thousand chaotic worlds, had used the supreme law to seal the heart demons and emotional demons that had disturbed Nguyen Thanh Lan many times in order to let Nguyen Thanh Lan, who had obtained Chun Hao's countless supreme techniques, grow without distractions. However, Nguyen Thanh Lan of the Daluo Golden Wonderland was able to break through the seal time and time again with the root of love in her soul origin. Trapped by love, she had fallen into a demonic barrier. It had to be said that Chun Hao had underestimated the influence of great luck and love. Similarly, Chun Hao and Nguyen Thanh Lan had also underestimated the position of the primordial yin body in her heart. I hope she can step out of the Hongmeng region. Otherwise, even if we bring Brother Chen back, there's no other way. In the demonic barrier, no one can help her. She can only rely on herself. Buzz. On the great Xian star, in the top academy independent of the 10 major cities, the Red Cloud Academy, a figure who was sitting cross-legged in the palace and exuding endless vitality, suddenly woke up from his meditation. He looked at the void in surprise. He was handsome, with 5 parts gentle and 5 parts masculine. If not for the Taoist robe and aura on his body that proved that he was a man, it would be difficult to distinguish his gender based on his appearance alone. This person was none other than Chun Hao's 5th life, the Tree of Life. Same aura. Could it be the perverted Zhou Qinglong? Chapter 1264. Chun Hao's 5th life was derived from the seed of the Tree of Life that Zhou Qinglong had given him. Not only did it give the 5th life the same abnormal vitality as Zhou Qinglong, but it was also influenced by Zhou Qinglong's personality. In addition, the 5th life had also fused with the attributes of the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree and the spirit spring sea. It had undergone a certain mutation and was somewhat different from Zhou Qinglong's pure spiritual intelligence derived from the Tree of Life. It could no longer be considered a pure Tree of Life. However, no matter what, it could not change the fact that it was inherited from Zhou Qinglong's life essence. In addition, Chun Hao's 5th life was also derived from his original body at its peak state. It had all the abilities that his original body had when it was derived. Naturally, his super strong soul perception was not a problem. Therefore, he, who was in a state of cultivation, could easily sense the aura of the same origin between heaven and earth. It must be, after carefully sensing for a moment, the 5th life said with great certainty in his heart when the other party also urged the special connection of the origin to connect with him. Little White. Hey, dear, I sense Little White. It can't be right. Pervert, are you for real? When have I ever lied to you? Little Xian. Little White sensed me first. Quick, follow me. Zhou Qinglong twisted his butt and took the lead to speed up. Let's go. We haven't seen each other for many years. Brother Chen should have already stepped into Hongmeng. When we meet again, we must learn from each other. That's right. However, we should say learn from each other. The controller said that Brother Chen's talent is probably unimaginable to us. Otherwise, he wouldn't have passed the level in advance in the sacred land of the immortal scriptures and passed it on to us. If it weren't for Brother Chun, we wouldn't even dare to think about entering a top academy. But now we have a lot of hope. Under Zhou Qinglong's lead, the group quickly headed in a certain direction. At the same time, Chen Hao's fifth anima, alias Chen Shusheng, emerged from his palace and headed in the direction of Zhou Qinglong. The fifth life originated from Zhou Qinglong. Although he had no feelings for him, being able to see life forms of the same origin was something that made him excited. Moreover, he had all the memories of Chen Hao's experiences in the vast thousand chaotic worlds, so he also wanted to see these old friends. He especially wanted to know if and when Tan Lan, whom his original body wanted to see the most in the third life, was with Zhou Qinglong and the others. There was no other way. Chen Hao had several lives. When they were together with Chen Hao's original body, they would compete, refuse to accept it, and want to take the absolute lead. But after they were separated, what Chen Hao's original body cared about was what they cared about. What the original body wanted to do was what they wanted to do. In the blink of an eye, Chen Hao, who was immersed in cultivation in the immortal realm, had been in closed-door cultivation for more than 200 days. About 7 days had passed in the outside world. A new batch, a new day. The contribution points of the comprehensive ranking list of the Dahua Academy had finally been reset to 0. The ranking of the cultivators had also changed quite a bit. This was something that couldn't be helped. Contribution points, under the circumstances where the disparity in strength wasn't too great, relied on the time and energy that the cultivator had put in. The more tasks one completed, the more contribution points one would receive, and the higher the comprehensive ranking would be. Therefore, the ranking that appeared immediately after the contribution points were reset was the true ranking of strength. On this day, early in the morning, countless cultivators had gathered in the huge square outside the assessment center. Everyone knew that from today onwards, there would be a month's time for the initial ranking to be adjusted. It was also time for cultivators to retake the assessment or challenge cultivators with higher rankings. After this month, not everyone would agree to an unconditional challenge. This would also be the busiest month for the two lower realms, Daluo Jingxian and Hongmeng Supreme. This was because most of the challenges occurred among the newly promoted Daluo Jingxian and Hongmeng Supreme. A few days ago, the news that Murong Qianhua, Xian Yuanshan, and Tang, who were going to challenge the top 10 experts in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, spread. This was undoubtedly something that the cultivators in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm were looking forward to. Similarly, in the Daluo Golden Wonderland, the most abnormal existence, Chen Ritian, would become the #1 existence in the Daluo Golden Wonderland as long as his contribution points were reset to 0 based on the results of the assessment. It was obvious that the chief disciple among the seniors would not be willing to lose the title of chief disciple just like that. Challenges were inevitable. In addition, Fart King Li Yuan and Ice Queen Xue Fian were also in the top 10. Little Wind King, Fan Prince Ling Feng, and Little Monkey King Ao Guang were also in the top 10. The possibility of them being challenged was too high. Ri Tian, after this reset, you will be the chief disciple of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. No matter what, do your best to keep this title. This is the chief disciple of the Daluo Golden Wonderland of the Dahua Institute. In Chen Ritian's palace in the Dahua Pavilion, the pavilion master of the Dahua Pavilion actually came personally and said to Chen Ritian, "This disciple will do his best," Chen Ritian said coldly without any fluctuation in his emotions. "I don't want you to do your best. I want you to announce in a high-profile manner that you welcome any expert in the Daluo Golden Wonderland to challenge you and create the momentum of an invincible expert. Pavilion Master, I only have cultivation in my heart. Do whatever you want to do. When the time comes for a battle, I will fight. I don't care about anything else." Chen Ritian frowned slightly and said directly. He did not give the Pavilion Master of the Dahua Pavilion much face. However, the Pavilion Master of the Dahua Pavilion did not care at all. He liked such an emotionless or inhumane martial arts fanatic even more. "All right, you just have to fight with all your might. I will arrange everything." After the Pavilion Master of the Dahua Pavilion finished speaking, he disappeared from the palace. Originally, The chief disciple of the Daluo Golden Wonderland was also a disciple of the Dahua Pavilion and was his direct disciple. However, this time, the pavilion master of the Dahua Pavilion wanted to promote Chen Ritian. According to his estimation, only the original chief disciple, who was also his direct disciple, could defeat Chen Ritian. Therefore, he only had to do his disciple's job. This was very simple. This was because his disciple should have gone to the Hongmeng domain to be promoted to the supreme of Hongmeng long ago. In order to maintain the position of the chief disciple of the Daluo Golden Wonderland in the Dahua Pavilion, he delayed it. And now, Chen Ritian's appearance was a form of relief for his lineal disciple. Little fatty. Pavilion Master, what brings you here today? Quick, have a seat. There's no need to sit. I hope I didn't disturb your cultivation. No. My contribution points are 0 today. Isn't there a good show to watch? I just left the Divine Realm space. Chen Hao said. Oh, that's good. I'm also here for this matter. Little fatty, after the contribution points have been cleared to 0, you're ranked 7th. Shuefian has also entered the top 10. Ling Feng has 43 points, and Ao Qian has over 100 points. You're all the most monstrous existences in this batch. As for you and Shuefian, you're ranked in the top 10. Although you didn't occupy the real top 10 palaces, because of the Great Transformation Pavilion, I'm afraid you'll face challenges. Chapter 1265. Pavilion Master, do you mean that Dahua Pavilion will let their disciples challenge us? Chen Hao frowned slightly. The Great Transformation Pavilion will definitely do so. In this year's recruitment, the limelight has been taken by our true martial pavilion. A few days ago, the Great Transformation Pavilion specially recruited the monstrous genius, Chen Ritian, caused such a huge commotion. The Great Transformation Pavilion wanted to vent their anger. Now that Chen Ritian is ranked 1st, if nothing goes wrong, the Great Transformation Pavilion will definitely support him to maintain his 1st place and become the Great Luo Golden Immortal Stage head disciple of the Great Transformation Academy. You, Shuefian, Ling Feng, and Ao Qian didn't choose them, so you will definitely be Chen Ritian's strongest competitors in the future. With Dahua Pavilion's Pavilion Master's breadth of mind, it would be strange if he didn't teach you a lesson. In addition, your performances are already very famous in Dahua Academy. To be able to step on you guys is undoubtedly a good opportunity to earn fame and fortune. Therefore, some of the stronger seniors in the rankings will probably challenge you guys, especially you. Oh, so it's like that. The tree wants to be quiet, but the wind won't stop. Since that's the case, then let's fight. It seems that it's quite difficult to cultivate in peace for the next 10 years. Chen Hao said, Yes, that's right. After all, you guys are just the results of the assessment. You don't have the influence of a real battle. Fighting is also a good way to improve. As for these 10 years, the academy won't give you any time to meditate. It's filled with training halls, but it's very important to study, especially the compulsory classes of the academy and our true martial pavilion. They're all very important to you. Sharpening the axe won't delay the work of chopping wood. 10 years is nothing to us cultivators. That's true. All right, Pavilion Master, don't worry about this. I can't guarantee anything else, but I, Fatty, am ranked 7th. I can only move forward and not back down. No one can even dream of shaking me. Chen Hao said boldly as he patted his chest. Good. With your words, I'm relieved. Challenge us? Mentally prepared? Ha! Pavilion Master, I still plan to challenge the top 10. These days, it's impossible not to be high profile. You don't have to worry. Ling Feng, will definitely charge into the top 10. As for the chief disciple, there's no rush. I can't be too high profile. It's better to do it step by step. If you can't, then you can't. Why are you looking for an excuse? Ao Qian looked at Ling Feng with disdain. Then, he looked at the Pavilion Master and said, Pavilion Master, I'm the same. Top 10 is a must. I really didn't expect the competition in our academy to be so intense. I originally wanted to keep a low profile, but even the heavens dared to F***CK the heavens. Cough cough. In short, flipping out is a must. When Selene, the pavilion master of the true martial pavilion, came out of Chunhao's palace, he coincidentally bumped into Ling Feng, Ao, Qian, and Shuefian, who had just stepped out of the palace. Selene had only said one sentence when Ling Feng and Ao Qian spoke one after another. Shuefian nodded slightly at Selene as well. The sharpness in her eyes made her stance clear. Chi, chi, chi. Numerous figures quickly gathered in the square of the testing center. The Daluo Golden Wonderland and the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm had arrived at their respective territories. They were looking at the gigantic ranking list on the pagoda stele and the high-level arena that was floating in the void beside it. Other than the cultivators of the two realms, there were also many teachers from the University of Dahua and various pavilions. Even the pavilion master, vice pavilion master, and the higher-ups of the academy were present. At this moment, countless cultivators were queuing up to take the test again. However, even more cultivators had gathered in front of the arenas of their respective realms. Chi, Chunhao, Shuefian, Ling Feng, Ao, Qian, and the 5 people who had joined up with Qi Shui arrived at lightning speed. Si Xian's ranking in the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm was not even close to the top. No one would challenge her at all. But those who had the qualifications to challenge at this time were only the top 100 contestants, and the top 100 contestants of the entire academy. Even one Yishui, who was ranked in the top 200 before his contribution points hit 0, barely had the qualifications to challenge the top 100 contestants. For those who were ranked lower, even if there were no rules, no one would come out at this time to make a fool of themselves. Therefore, Si Xian did not even come over. She was still immersed in her cultivation in the immortal realm. As soon as Chunhao and the others landed, they caused a commotion among the cultivators around them. Right at this moment, a figure suddenly flashed over and arrived before Chunhao and the others. Yo, isn't this senior sister Shui? No, I should call you junior sister. Hee, sister Shui, long time no see. I missed you. Why? Do you miss me too? Chunhao was slightly stunned and spoke first. Wan Yishui's already ugly face suddenly became even angrier. She said, Damn fatty, I'm here to tell you that I want to challenge you. Sister Shui, this is not good. We're all brothers and sisters of the true martial pavilion. How can we fight each other at this time? Now, we should unite and face the outside world together to show the prestige of the true martial pavilion. Unity is strength. Don't you think so? After this, will you happily accept my challenge? If you can, I won't challenge you now. Yes, of course. Sister Shui, you can challenge me at any time. You're always welcome. I really want to experience your azure silk blue ripple technique again. Chunhao squinted his eyes and stared at Wan Yishui with a smile. This was the truth. Wan Yishui's azure silk blue ripple technique might cause others to die without knowing how, but to the abnormal fatty, it was a very good enjoyment. Moreover, it was enjoyment that cleansed the soul. This is what you said. Don't go back on your words, damn fatty. And don't worry, Sister Shui. Damn fatty you. Sister Shui, what did I do to you? Just you wait. I'll show you. Wan Yishui's face was slightly red. After she finished speaking, she turned around and left Chunhao. She really couldn't stand the fatty's shamelessness, especially his hypocritical face in front of and behind people. She couldn't stand it. Although the more she understood, the less hope she had of defeating the fatty. She had said in front of everyone that she would challenge the fatty again. No matter what the result was, she had to try. Even if she lost, it wouldn't be shameful. It would be best if she won. And her biggest reliance was the azure silk blue ripple technique. The reason she brought it up now was to let everyone know that she wouldn't back down just because the fatty's performance was becoming more and more abnormal. Of course, if Chunhao didn't say that they would unite against the outside world, she would still say it. As long as Chunhao unconditionally agreed to her challenge, it would be fine. The time definitely couldn't be now. Everyone, it's time. Those who want a challenge can come and register. Once again, within this month, no matter who it is, as long as they're challenged, they must accept the challenge. Rejecting will be considered as admitting defeat. Also, I hope that everyone will abide by the unwritten rules. Those who are ranked in the thousands and below, don't waste everyone's time at this time. When it was time, an extremely powerful old man stepped onto the stage. His voice was majestic and crisp as he spoke. He's here, Chen Ritian. And at this time, Chen Ritian stepped on the old man's voice and flew over. Chapter 1266. At this moment, several teachers also flew into the ring to ensure the safety of both the challenger and the one being challenged. In this month's challenge matches, both the challenger and the one being challenged were basically the top geniuses of Dahua Academy. Because of this, the matches were all hosted and judged by teachers of Dahua Academy, and no mistakes were allowed. After the commotion caused by Chen Ritian's arrival, a few of the stronger auras in the crowd immediately took out their tokens and handed them to the old man in the ring. I challenged the 10th place. I challenged the 7th place. I challenged the 43rd place. Voila! The first 3 people to speak caused a commotion. The 7th place is Fart King Li Yuan. The 10th is Ice Queen Shui Fian. And the 43rd is Young Wind King Ling Feng. The challengers are all from Dahua Pavilion. That's normal. Dahua Pavilion has the most top experts. No way. While the crowd was still discussing, the challengers were still challenging Chun Hao, Shui Fian, and Ling Feng. What was worse was that they were still from Dahua Pavilion. The situation was more serious than what Mo Shilin had expected. The challengers had to report the ranking of the person they wanted to challenge, and the judges would arrange the order of appearance according to the challenger's registration. Every cultivator only had one chance to challenge at the beginning, but each time they were challenged, they would have one more chance to challenge. There was no limit to the number of challengers. Of course, the prerequisite was that the challenger had to be in peak condition. F***CK. Mother Ker. Isn't my ranking just a little low? Gee. Because A.O. Guang's ranking was outside the top 100, no one had challenged him for the time being. Originally, he had wanted to observe the situation before making a decision. But now, he had directly taken out his token. Although there would definitely be people challenging him later. How could A.O. Guang have the patience to wait? Chun Hao, Ling Feng, and Shui Fian were all challenged. How could he not go? I challenged the 8th place. A.O. Guang took the initiative to challenge the 8th place, but the crowd was not surprised. After all, everyone knew that A.O. Guang's potential value had not been reassessed. His current ranking did not represent his true strength. At this moment, a cultivator beside Wan Yishui stepped out and took out his token. I challenged the 8th place. I challenged the 8th place. I challenged number 2. I challenged 2nd place. Then, Wan Yishui and several others also signed up. The information displayed on the token was shockingly the top geniuses of the true martial pavilion. Wan Yishui's ranking was the worst among them. Other than that, the people who were with Wan Yishui and the others, but had yet to challenge them, were obviously the elites of the true martial pavilion. At this moment, the true martial pavilion's disciples and teachers all let out a sigh of relief, feeling a little better. Without a doubt, the great pavilion's deliberate provocation of Li Yuan, Shui Fian, and Ling Feng was too obvious. It could be said that they didn't try to hide it at all. Knowing that someone had already challenged him, he signed up to challenge the same person again before the results were out. It was simply too ruthless. Yet now, the true martial pavilion was obviously returning an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, because the current number 8 and number 2 were both disciples of the Grand Transformation Pavilion. However, Wan Yishui daring to challenge the 8th place exceeded everyone's expectations. Wan Yishui was originally ranked in the 200s. After her contribution points were cleared, her ranking only fluctuated by a few places. She was still in the 200s. Challenging the 8th place, the difference was too great. Other than senior apprentice sister Wan Yishui, the others are all top 10 experts of our true martial pavilion's Daluo Golden Wonderland. Look, the one standing in the middle who hasn't challenged is our true martial pavilion's first disciple of the Daluo Golden Wonderland, Jiang Chongling. someone in the crowd introduced to the new students. The first disciple of the true martial pavilion's Daluo Golden Wonderland, Jiang Chongling, ranked 6th. Other than the fatty and Shui Fian, he was the only one in the top 10. Before Chun Hao's group of cultivators entered Dahua Academy, Jiang Chongling was also the only one in the top 10 of Dahua Academy and ranked toward the middle. No one challenged the first place. When the first batch finished signing up, many cultivators in the crowd said with regret, "The first place is Chun Ritian." With such heaven-defying results, bloody, cruel, and perverse fighting methods, and such amazing recovery abilities, who dares to challenge him? Originally, the first disciple had hopes of defeating Chun Ritian, but I heard that he is about to go to Hongmeng region. The pavilion master of Dahua Academy will probably interfere and leave the position of first disciple to Chun Ritian. Indeed, after seeing Chun Ritian's combat strength test, even if you're strong enough, you have to consider whether you can withstand his terrifying fighting methods. I feel that Fatty Li Yuan and Shui Fian are hiding a lot. According to reliable information, during the test, Fatty did not know the rules and got at least 1 or 2,000 points less in the attack power test. Starting from the 92nd attack, he used his ultimate move consecutively. If he only used his strongest attack once, he would definitely be on par with Chun Ritian. After all, the last attack of Fatty's ultimate move was close to 18,000 points. Also, during the endurance test, Fatty saw that everyone else had left and thought that he got first place, so he left directly. Clearly, the test results are not his true strength. Then there is Shui Fian. It is said that she only revealed her true body during the combat strength test. At other times, she was under a disguise. Clearly, this result is not her strongest result. Everyone, after the statistics, the order of the first 100 matches has been arranged. Dahua Pavilion Disciple Bai Ji, who is ranked 8th, has 3 challengers. First, we invite Bai Ji and challenger A.O. Guang to the stage. A moment later, the referee's voice sounded, interrupting everyone's discussion. A.O. Guang, who was already prepared, did not hesitate and directly flew into the air. Under normal circumstances, this kind of challenge competition in the academy had the same rules. Usually, there would be a batch of 100 matches. If there were repeated challengers in the 100 matches, they would have the priority to go on stage. For example, only Bai Ji, who was ranked 8th, was challenged by A.O. Guang, one Yishui, and another disciple of the true martial pavilion. There were a total of 3 matches, so he had to fight 1 match first. The remaining 2 matches would be fought with Chun Hao, Shui Fian, Ling Feng, and the others who had been challenged twice, according to a certain order. When there was only 1 match left for all the challengers, it would be considered the 3rd round. Simply put, it was to give the challengers a certain amount of time to breathe. Sorry, there was a small bug. Thank you for pointing it out. Dark Mountain has already fixed it. It will not affect reading. Thank you again for pointing out the bug. Thank you. Chapter 1267. Qi. The aura around A.O. Guang, who rose into the air, became abnormally sharp. His momentum was like a rainbow, and his battle intent billowed. The great transformation pavilion disciple, Bai Ji, who was ranked 8th, was not to be outdone. Humph! Am I, Bai Ji, someone with an undeserved reputation? What Tom, Dick, and Harry dares to challenge me? Truly laughable. Bai Ji rose into the air at the same time as he spoke, charging towards the high-grade arena floating in the air. No matter what, he who was ranked 8th was also a veteran top 10 expert. But the true martial pavilion actually turned him into a bargaining chip to compete with the great transformation pavilion. Furthermore, it was a 3-person challenge. Although A.O. Guang was a rare, monstrous genius, he was also just a newcomer. How could he compare with him? Of course, he was very willing to fight with A.O. Guang. Being able to trample this kind of newcomer with great potential and higher reputation was undoubtedly an excellent opportunity to earn destiny. But one Yishui, this kind of person who was ranked below 200, also dared to challenge him. It was too outrageous. He felt that he was being looked down upon by the true martial pavilion. "Oh, sorry, Tom, Dick, and Harry weren't talking about you. At least your future should be a little stronger than Tom, Dick, and Harry." Baiji saw A.O. Guang's bristling with anger, and his face revealed a slight smile, adding fuel to the fire once again. His gaze when looking at A.O. Guang became even more contemptuous. A newcomer was a newcomer. Without the experience and tempering of a high-grade academy, he was a little too impatient. However, this was precisely the result that Baiji wanted. A calm person was far more terrifying than an angry person. Regardless of whether it was at a lower realm now or at a higher realm, this point would not change. F***CK your mother. Idiot, right? Baiji. Uncultured wild monkey. Baiji, I think you're an idiot. I'll tell you clearly that your goal has been achieved. I'm angry. A.O. Guang bared his teeth and said without a care for his image. The originally skinny and eccentric him became even more ferocious, his vicious aura billowing to the heavens. Chi. At the same time, a golden light flashed between A.O. Guang's brows, and a weapon appeared in his hand. Ah! When Shen Hao saw A.O. Guang's weapon, he directly opened his eyes wide in shock. The two ends were glittering golden hoops, and in the middle was a black iron that emitted a cold aura. Next to the hoops was a line of words, Rui Jingu Cudgel, weight 13,500 kilograms. Rui Jingu Bang. What the F***CK? How is this possible? Shen Hao looked at the words on the stick and was stunned. A.O. Guang's weapon was exactly the same as the golden cudgel of the great sage equal to heaven, Sun Wukong. Although this guy looks small and skinny and looks a little like a monkey, his origin bloodline is clearly, according to the legends on Earth, the monkey obtained the sea-stabilizing divine needle from the EC Dragon Palace, which is also the Jingu Bang. Could it be? Shen Hao couldn't figure it out. When Shen Hao first met A.O. Guang, he had already sensed A.O. Guang's origin bloodline. Although he called him a monkey, his origin bloodline was not that of a monkey. Instead, it was the ancient dragon bloodline that Shen Hao was most familiar with. Moreover, it was much purer and thicker than the origin bloodline of the Azure Dragon, one of the 5 mythical beasts of Shen Hao. It could be said that they were not on the same level at all. It was also because of this that Shen Hao saw A.O. Guang as a strong opponent during the test. It was just that A.O. Guang did not reveal a trace of his origin bloodline in the end. Otherwise, how could A.O. Guang's results be so much worse than his own? But now, A.O. Guang was like a real monkey, using a cudgel as a weapon. It was fine if he used a cudgel, but it was exactly the same as the Rui Jingu cudgel in the legends. Even the words and weight were exactly the same. It's possible. It's very possible. What the F***CK? If that's really the case, wouldn't this kid be super awesome? F***CK. The perfect fusion of 2 powerful origin bloodlines. It's a pity that I haven't seen the real Monkey King's bloodline. I don't know what kind of aura the Monkey King's bloodline has. Rui Jingu Cudgel? What? This F***CK. I should have thought of this earlier. F***CK. I've been calling him a monkey for so long. I knew that this guy was hiding his strength. Why didn't I think of this? What Shen Hao did not expect was that while he was still in shock, the cultivators present were also in an uproar when they saw A.O. Guang's weapon. Many people exclaimed in shock. Ling Feng's eyes shone brightly as he cursed. Xue Fian frowned slightly, as if she was thinking of something. Su Tao, In Su, and the other members of the Carnage Battle team all stared at A.O. Guang in shock. Their mouths were wide open. Even the judges and teachers of the arbitration team, as well as the teachers and higher-ups of the various pavilions who came to watch, were extremely shocked. Coward! You pissed your pants just because of this? The furious A.O. Guang sensed the astonished gazes of the people around him, and he enjoyed it very much. Especially when he sensed that Shen Hao and Ling Feng were extremely astonished. He couldn't help but feel smug for no reason. As for Baiji's stupefied and shocked appearance, it made him feel a burst of contempt and ridicule. You're the descendant of the Monkey King? Scared? It's too late. Take this. Boom. Sensing that the restriction on the stage had disappeared, A.O. Guang, who had already lost his patience, no longer hesitated and swung his staff. Bai Ji, who was still in shock, hurriedly rushed forward. However, he was pushed back 1,000 miles by A.O. Guang's violent strength. Cracks appeared on his skin and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. You dare to be arrogant in front of me with this little strength? F***CK, your mother's head. Have another taste of my stick. A.O. Guang was insufferably arrogant. His short hair stood up like steel needles. When he swung his staff, 9 layers of golden light appeared behind him. The staff in front of him covered the sky. His battle intent was like a mountain entering the sea. Rumble, rumble. A.O. Guang's aura was like a rainbow. He didn't show any mercy and swung his staff again and again. Each staff was stronger than the previous one. Simple, direct, violent, and without any fancy moves, there was only the most violent suppression of strength. Bai Ji, who had been arrogant at the start, was now suppressed by A.O. Guang to the point that he didn't even have time to breathe. He felt as if numerous mountains were smashing on his body. Even if he used all his strength, he was still unable to escape from A.O. Guang's power. He could only endure the attacks while vomiting blood. And there was no temper to speak of. Although the Monkey King's bloodline didn't have many members, the strength of the Monkey King's bloodline wasn't something that ordinary people would dare to provoke. To be able to possess the signature weapon of the Monkey King's bloodline, the Rui Jingu Bang, it was obvious that he had the most authentic bloodline of the Monkey King. How strong was he? If he knew that A.O. Guang had the bloodline of the Monkey King, how would he dare to say such words to humiliate A.O. Guang? Although the Monkey King had transcended the monkey bloodline and wasn't something ordinary monkeys could compare to, it was still a type of monkey. Humiliating a monkey in front of a descendant of the Monkey King was no different from courting death. In the Monkey King's bloodline, let alone the direct bloodline, even the branch bloodline was famous for being ruthless. They were existences that feared nothing in the heavens and earth. Even if you were the father of the heavenly emperor, as long as you offended them, they would still find you and fight you to the death. There was no solution to it. Who asked the Monkey King's bloodline to have an undying body? Chapter 1268. The physique of the Monkey King's descendants was something that transcended the 3 realms and the 5 elements. They were invulnerable to weapons and invulnerable to fire and water. They were truly immortal. Perhaps it was because of this that the Monkey King's descendants were fearless and violent. No matter who it was, no matter how strong they were, as long as they were an enemy, they would fight. Even though Chun Hao had long since known that A.O. Guang was hiding something, he was still shocked by A.O. Guang's performance. The berserk offensive power and strength that erupted from his small and thin body was definitely the strongest Chun Hao had ever seen. Even the coiling dragon, who was like a savage beast, did not have the indomitable and unstoppable aura that the monkey had. Are the Monkey King's descendants very powerful? Chun Hao couldn't help but ask. They're all right. Ling Feng's gaze was fixed on the stage. She didn't even look at Chun Hao as she answered reluctantly. They're more than powerful. Fatty, I can tell you that the Monkey King's descendants are even more terrifying than the primordial divine dragon. If it wasn't for the fact that the Monkey King's descendants only had one descendant, they would definitely be stronger than the dragon race. Can A.O. Guang's staff prove that he's from the Monkey King's descendants? However, this is only a replica of the Rui Jingu Bang. The real Rui Jingu Bang is the weapon of the Monkey King's ancestors. It's controlled by the Monkey King's tribe leader and is also the most precious treasure of the Monkey King's tribe. It's said that it was forged by a great figure in the immortal realm. It can be big or small, long or short. It's a heaven-defying immortal item. The descendants of the Monkey King's descendants can obtain a replica of the Rui Jingu Bang made by their elders. This is something that no cultivator can replicate. Although it's not as good as the real thing, it's still a heaven-defying treasure that can grow. Therefore, when you see A.O. Guang holding this weapon, you can be sure that he's from the Monkey King's descendants. Moreover, he should be from the younger generation that just came into being not long ago. Oh, so that's the case. I didn't think that the Monkey King would be so powerful. He actually hid so much. What's the name of the Monkey King's ancestor? Chunhao asked. The Monkey King's bloodline is all surnamed Sunday. It said that their ancestor is a supreme being from the immortal world. His title is Great Sage Equal to Heavens, and his name is Sun Wukong. The name Ao Guang should be a fake name. Brother Fatty, there's one more thing. According to the legends, as long as a descendant of the Monkey King grows up, they would be invincible among those of the same level. Su Tao said. He didn't realize that his words had caused great waves in Chun Hao's heart. The mighty figure of the celestial world, the great sage equal to heaven, Sun Wukong. Could it be that the legends of Earth also came from the same immortal world as the cultivators of the great world of Xiandi knew? Was the greater thousand world condensed on Earth the immortal world? After pondering for a short while, Chun Hao rejected this conjecture. In the celestial realm, since the NPC, Yang Luyan had said that Earth, ancient chaos, and the celestial realm were all connected to the celestial realm. One could enter the celestial realm through the celestial realm's path. Then the celestial realm should not be Earth. It seems that I have to take some time to study the history and ancient legends of the great world of Xiandi. Chun Hao thought to himself, in the greater thousand world of ancient chaos, perhaps because of the great war that broke out in the ancient chaos realm, there were not many valuable ancient legends left in the ancient chaos realm. However, the great world of C&D was obviously different. Perhaps, like the Monkey King's clan, it could allow Chun Hao to discover many things that were similar to Earth. Bang! Ao Guang's staff came down again and collided with Bai Ji's energy. Blood burst out. First, Bai Ji's palms exploded. Then, both of his arms exploded. Even the space between his eyebrows was densely packed with fine cracks. His entire body was sent flying and crashed into the wall of the arena. It was also at this time that the teacher who was supervising the competition suddenly stepped in and saved Bai Ji. At the same time, he stopped Ao Guang's next move that was even more powerful and violent. Ao Guang wins. Voila! The surrounding cultivators, regardless of whether they were students or teachers, all looked at Ao Guang in shock. Who would have thought that the 8th ranked expert in the top 10 would not even have the chance to fight back and would be defeated by Ao Guang's imposing manner? The strength of the legendary Monkey King's lineage made all the cultivators present have a clearer understanding of it. The little Monkey King Ao Guang is actually a true descendant of the Monkey King's lineage. I really didn't expect. Who gave Ao Guang his nickname? Ao Guang's nickname was mainly based on his talent and appearance. Who would have thought that he would become the true Little Monkey King? It could be said that he had hit the jackpot by a fluke. I keep feeling that something is wrong. Since Ao Guang is a descendant of the Monkey King, he should be supreme from inside out. During the battle just now, he did indeed have such an aura. However, before that, his performance was below Fatty Li Yuan. This is inconsistent with the character of the Monkey King's clan. That's right. Most importantly, Ao Guang's strength is definitely not inferior to Fatty Li Yuan. Why would he be below Fatty Li Yuan? The crowd was buzzing with discussion. Ao Guang, who had stepped out of the arena, did not care about them at all. He directly landed beside Chun Hao, Ling Feng, and the rest. Brother Monkey is so mighty. Brother Monkey is so powerful. The top 10 cultivators did not even have the chance to fight back in front of Brother Monkey. Brother Monkey is so good at hiding. Sha Shui and the rest stared at Ao Guang with shining eyes. They did not hide their truth at all. I'm just SOSO. I've always been low-key. I only revealed a little. I didn't expect that I would reveal too much. Sigh. Ao Guang shook his head proudly. However, his eyes were fixed on Ling Feng, full of provocation. Ling Feng's face was full of disdain. What are you talking about? You're just a descendant of the Monkey King. I'll let you know later. Bloodline inheritance and racial superiority are nothing in front of me. Pfft. I'll wait and see. Ao Guang said with disdain. Monkey, After hearing Chun Hao's voice transmission, A.O. Guang smiled and replied excitedly, "Brother Fatty, am I good enough?" The way he treated Ling Feng was completely different from how he treated Ling Feng. "Are you really a descendant of the Monkey King?" Brother Fatty, is there anyone in this world who dares to pretend to be a descendant of the Monkey King? A.O. Guang asked. "That's not it. It's just that I feel that you're not just a descendant of the Monkey King. Brother Fatty, you don't have to say much. Can you give me some information about the Monkey King? Especially about your ancestor, the great sage equal to heaven, Sun Wukong? I've heard some legends about the great sage equal to heaven before. That's why I'm very curious." Chen Hao said. Just now he had asked Su Tao. However, Su Tao's knowledge was very limited. He did not have any useful information for Chen Hao. Chapter 1269. Chen Hao's words made A.O. Guang very surprised. The legend of the Monkey King tribe's great sage, heaven's equal, was not more than the information circulating in the great world of CND. To be precise, no one in the Monkey King tribe had ever seen the great sage, heaven's equal. All the information came from the Monkey tribe's treasure, the Rui Jingu Bang. Brother Fatty, you mean you've obtained information about the Monkey King tribe's great sage, heaven's equal in the greater world where you were born? A.O. Guang asked with his eyes wide open. You can say that. What is it? F***CK. I'm the one asking you. Okay? Brother Fatty, it's not that I don't want to tell you, but what I know is no different from what is circulating in the great world of CND. Also, I won't hide it from you. Your intuition is right. I'm not entirely of the Monkey King tribe's bloodline, and I didn't grow up in the Monkey tribe. Although I obtained the imitation Rui Jingu Bang, I didn't obtain the inheritance and memory of the Monkey King tribe. This is because the Monkey King tribe's bloodline isn't the main bloodline in my bloodline. As for what it is specifically, Brother Fatty, don't ask me. I can't tell you for the time being. I'm afraid only the direct descendants of the Monkey King who obtained the inheritance and unique skills of the Monkey King tribe would know more. Therefore, I really don't know much about the Monkey King tribe's great sage, heaven's equal. Upon hearing A.O. Guang's words, Chen Hao was slightly disappointed. He thought he would be able to obtain some information about Sun Wukong and understand more about the connection between the Earth and the great world of CND. However, A.O. Guang didn't have any information. Of course, Chen Hao believed that A.O. Guang wasn't lying to him since he could tell him about his bloodline. He really didn't know. I only heard from my mother that all the information about the Monkey King tribe's ancestor came from the Monkey tribe's treasure, the Rui Jingu Bang. The first Monkey King of the great world of CND was also born from the Rui Jingu Bang. A.O. Guang paused for a moment and then transmitted his voice. Oh, so the great sage equaling heaven has never appeared in the great world of CND? Chen Hao asked. That's right. To be exact, no one has ever seen him before. The actual founder of the Monkey tribe was the first Monkey King of the great world of CND. The information about the great sage equaling heaven was only announced to the world by the first Monkey King when he condensed the statue in the ancestral temple of the Monkey tribe. Ancestral temple. Chen Hao was stunned for a moment and then asked, Is it condensing the power of faith? Fatty bro, it's only you. If it were anyone else, I definitely wouldn't tell them. Just now, you also saw that when I burst out, the aura that I released and the strength that I erupted with greatly exceeded your expectations, right? The truth is, I'm not that strong. The reason why I could do that was not only because of the Monkey King signature weapon, the Rui Jingu Bang, but also because of the power of faith. As long as the Monkey King bloodline activates the power of their bloodline source and injects it into the replica of the Rui Jingu Bang, they will be able to connect with the treasure of the Monkey tribe. The real Rui Jingu Bang will obtain the most violent power in the world from it. That's the power of the great sage equaling heaven. A.O. Guang said, This means that the great sage equaling heaven might still be alive. Or perhaps he's in the process of resurrection through the power of faith. In short, he hasn't truly died. Chen Hao said, Yes, that's for sure. Moreover, although I can't sense it in the short term, compared to billions of years ago, the power of faith that the Monkey King bloodline can obtain is much stronger. The holy aura that the real Rui Jingu Bang exudes is also much stronger. Ao Guang said. In his heart, he was even more impressed with Chun Hao. To be able to sense that he wasn't just a member of the Monkey King bloodline, and to be able to guess the truth with just a few words from him, it seemed like there was nothing that he couldn't understand. If that's the case, then it's more likely that Chun Hao suddenly looked at Ao Guang again and said telepathically, "Where does the monkey tribe live?" Gold Dipper Planet. Fatty bro, what's more likely? Ao Guang asked curiously. Nirvana rebirth. And it should be the nirvana of the true self, or a rebirth that surpasses the nirvana of the true self. Gold Dipper Planet. Bring me there when you have the time. All right. I was going to make a trip there anyway. Since Fatty bro is interested, let's go together. Fatty bro, I've said everything that needs to be said. You still haven't answered my question. The great sage, heaven's equal, Sun Wukong, is nicknamed Traveling Monk Sunday. He was born with an immortal spirit body that was born from the immortal stone at the beginning of the world. He was born with an immortal body that was invulnerable to weapons, water, and fire. He was taught by Patriarch Bodhi. Who is the Patriarch Bodhi? Ao Guang asked in surprise. He had never heard of this name before. He should be a mighty figure from the immortal realm, an expert who is proficient in Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism. I obtained some information about the mighty figures from the immortal realm from a historical site in the original greater world. Coincidentally, one of them was the great sage, heaven's equal, Sun Wukong. I thought that he was just a figure made up by the ancients, but I didn't expect that there would be legends about him in the great world of CND. Chen Hao said vaguely. Anything else? That's all. After the challenge, let me play with your Jingu Bang replica for a few days. Brother Fatty, don't tell me you want to study it. It's useless. Unless you have the bloodline of the Monkey King, you won't be able to merge your mind with it. No matter how strong your cultivation is, it won't work. Also, this replica is rooted in my bloodline. Even if I wanted to give it to you, I couldn't do it. It's that powerful. Yes. Otherwise, how could they conclude that I'm a descendant of the Monkey King just because I took out the Rui Jingu Bang? That's because other than the bloodline of the Monkey King, no one can obtain the Jingu Bang. Now for the second round. May the challenger, Mo Ku from the Great Transformation Pavilion, and the challenged, Li Yuan from the True Martial Pavilion, please come on stage. Just as Chun Hao and Ao Guang were communicating telepathically, the referee's voice rang out. It's my turn. Chun Hao was slightly surprised, but he quickly restrained his thoughts, and with a swing of his butt, he flew up into the sky. Previously, the number of people who signed up for the challenge wouldn't change because of the change in the ranking. It was targeted at the person. Ao Guang's victory wouldn't affect the later rounds of the competition. Mo Ku from the Great Transformation Pavilion was originally ranked 36th. He was the 5th of the top 10 veteran experts in the Great Transformation Pavilion. However, he was the weakest of the two cultivators who challenged Chen Hao. The other one was the expert who was ranked 3rd in the Great Transformation Pavilion. He was the one who had the highest chance of being promoted to the top 10 of the Great Transformation Pavilion. Therefore, Mo Ku could only be considered as a stepping stone. Wang. The moment he stepped into the arena, Chun Hao felt that his body was instantly bound by mysterious runes. His physical body and true Yuan were directly imprisoned, but it didn't harm him at all. The level of this arena is higher than the one I fought with Sima Duo Li in the True Martial City. I can't waste it. Chapter 1270. Chun Hao sensed the mysterious restraints that were released from the arena itself. It was a stark contrast to his opponent, Moke. Although Moke remained silent, he stared at Chun Hao. His battle intent soared rapidly. On the other hand, Chun Hao's chubby face looked intoxicated. He squinted his eyes and did not even look at Moke. He did not even release the slightest bit of battle intent. This gave people the feeling that Fatty did not put Moke in his eyes at all. This made the people from the Carnage Battle team worry for Chun Hao. Although they knew that Fatty was very strong, to look down on Moke in such a blatant manner was to underestimate his opponent. After all, Moke was a veteran expert who had the potential to be ranked 36th in the Dahua University. Chi. The moment the restraints were released, and Moke, who had a cold expression and had not said a single word, was like a ferocious, poisonous snake that directly bared its sharp fangs. The battle intent that had gathered to its peak was like a river bursting through a dam as it violently pressed towards Chun Hao. At the same time, he threw out a punch. Boom! His fist was like a shooting star that shot out dazzling fist lights as it tore through the sky, and it carried along a terrifying pressure, force, and talisman markings. It was extremely valiant and powerful, and the aura of his fist surged and surged. Everywhere it passed, space collapsed and rumbled as it exploded, and the scene was terrifying to the extreme. It caused most of the cultivators in the surroundings of the arena to stare with their eyes wide open in astonishment. Even the gazes of Ao Guang, Ling Feng, and Xue Fian flashed with a wisp of seriousness as they looked at Chun Hao. Strong. Even with Ao Guang and Zhu Yu in front, no one dared to look down on Moke's explosive punch. To the cultivators from the Daluo Golden Wonderland, just this opening punch was enough to kill 99% of them. What would Fatty, who did not seem to care about his opponent at all, do? That was what everyone wanted to see. Until now, there was no doubt that Fatty had extremely strong battle power. However, he had not really fought in front of everyone. The previous arena battle with Wan Yishui could at best be regarded as the Fatty's performance. There was no head-on confrontation at all, so it naturally did not count. Moreover, the opponent in the combat strength testing tower was not a real cultivator. Therefore, this battle could be said to be the first performance of this year's #1 Golden Immortal of the great all-embracing heaven. Good. Chi. Seeing the fist aura approaching him, Chun Hao's pupils shrank. He swung his butt, and his entire body disappeared in a thin air. F***CK. Brother Fatty can't be dodging, right? Ao Guang, who had just finished the battle, was looking forward to seeing Fatty killing everyone. But he did not expect Fatty to dodge the first attack, like when he was fighting Wan Yishui. Damn Fatty. Wan Yishui, who was also staring at Chun Hao, could not help but mutter in his heart when he saw this scene. However, just as this thought appeared in everyone's mind, Chun Hao's fat body suddenly appeared again. Not only did he not dodge, but he also closed the distance between him and Moke. What followed was a mountainous pressure and an incomparably sharp spear aura. A direct confrontation. F***CK. Good job, Fatty. Amazing. Fatty's endurance is indeed not his limit. In just a moment, although the result of the collision had not been seen, everyone was in awe of Fatty's strength. Attacking later, but arriving first. 2 points in a straight line. And after the opponent's attack was condensed, Fatty completely endured the pressure of the opponent's fist aura. Just based on this point, it was not something an ordinary person could do or dare to do. Chi. Rumble. Rumble. When the spear aura and the fist aura met, the space was suddenly torn apart. Energy rolled, and the sound shook the sky. Moke, who was slightly shocked, snorted coldly. He twisted his body, and his hands drew a beautiful arc. He easily dissolved the terrifying force of the impact. Chun Hao, who was holding his spear and retreating to reduce the impact, was shocked when he saw this scene. Ancient martial Tai Chi. Good. Amazing, amazing. Senior Brother Moke has actually cultivated ancient martial Tai Chi to such a level. Fatty spear aura, just now, was very strong, but Senior Brother Moke obviously only used a little strength and easily dissolved it. Did you see that? This is our Ancient Martial Arts Association's unique skill, Tai Chi. As long as you understand its essence, you can turn something rotten into something magical. Our Ancient Martial Arts Association has a lot of similar, unique skills. Someone in the crowd cheered. The people from the Ancient Martial Arts Association did not miss the opportunity to advertise. Ancient Martial Tai Chi? Interesting. I'll play with you. Chun Hao thought to himself. At the same time, he thrust his spear. Chi! The crimson-red spear aura was like a blood-red waterfall as it rushed towards Moke. There was nothing fancy about it. There was only a stronger pressure and strength than the first strike. I'll see to what extent you can dissolve it. It was also at this moment that Fatty's slightly mocking tone broke the silence that no one had expected from the moment they stepped onto the stage. How arrogant! Although your score is high, in front of me, you're destined to have high scores and low abilities. Show me what you're capable of. Today, I'll play with you and let you see the highest level of ancient martial Tai Chi. Buzz. Huff huff. Facing Chun Hao's teasing, Moke replied arrogantly. As his voice resounded throughout the entire square, his body arched slightly. Both his hands seemed to be moving slowly. At the same time, his entire body started to spin on the spot. In an instant, it seemed as though he was moving the space around him. It was as though a whirlpool that could devour everything in the world had appeared. Indeed, you have some skills. Looks like the Ancient Martial Arts Association is not simple. Chen Hao's attack did not change. However, at this moment, he was shocked again. He could clearly feel that when Moke's hands drew a circle and his body started to spin, the pressure from his spear aura started to be devoured. This was something that even Chun Hao could not do. Boom! Chi chi chi. Who? When Chen Hao's fierce attack came into contact with the whirlpool around Moke, which was getting bigger and bigger, there was only a sound. Then it was pulled by the whirlpool and dissolved like a cocoon being pulled out. What shocked most of the freshmen was that the whirlpool seemed to have been replenished by the energy contained in Chun Hao's spear aura. In an instant, it expanded by a few times. Its spinning speed became faster, and its devouring power became stronger. The energy of heaven and earth in the entire arena surged and gathered towards Moke. Again, Chi! Chi 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 chi. Chen Hao did not seem to be discouraged at all. Without any hesitation, he unleashed an even stronger attack. Furthermore, he raised his hand and used 5 spears. Buzz, 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 buzz. In an instant, the 5 spears each gave off a glow that belonged to the 5 different elements. Furthermore, they quickly merged into one as they moved forward. Great 5 elements art! The crowd instantly exclaimed. Fatty Li Yuan's background was not known to everyone. Of course, there were few exceptions. Hence, at this moment, when Fatty released the great 5 elements art with a shake of his hand, it shocked many cultivators. Chapter 1271. Emoku's eyes flashed coldly. He stretched out his hands and waved them around his body. In an instant, the speed of his rotation increased by a few times. It was as though he had turned into a huge ball that could swallow everything. Even his own body had disappeared. The practitioners in the square were extremely shocked. Regardless of whether it was Fatty or Mo.Ku's performance, they had exceeded their expectations. Boom! Rumble! When the rainbow spear radiance formed by the great 5 elements art collided with the rotating Mo.Ku, there was a terrifying explosion. The space in the arena was collapsing piece by piece. However, what shocked Chun Hao and everyone else was that the energy that was supposed to wreak havoc did not appear. Instead, it merged with Mo.Ku's rotating energy. Even though it shook violently countless times, it quickly became a part of the rotating energy. Being able to release the great 5 elements art in an instant is very powerful. Unfortunately, the power of the instant release is too weak. I'll give you time to form a stronger attack. Come on. At this moment, Mo.Ku's voice floated out from the rotating energy ball. The rotating energy ball, which had already expanded greatly, started to shrink at a speed visible to the naked eye following Mo.Ku's voice. It was as though it was compressing energy. Do you think I'm an idiot? The essence of this ancient martial Tai Chi is to use 4 ounces to deflect 1,000 caddies. Using one's strong mental state and ability to control one's strength to turn external forces into one's own. I'm just testing you. Why would I return your strength? As for spinning, I know how to do that too. Buzz. Chen Hao joked. His fat body shook violently, and started to spin like Mo. Cool. F asterisk CK. What is Brother Fatty trying to do? Ha. Fatty is too funny. How can ancient martial Tai Chi be so simple? You don't say. Look, Fatty is spinning very fast and round like a meatball. He's even rounder than Senior Mo. Cool. Ha. The surrounding cultivators were all astonished. The people on the Fatty side naturally did not understand what the Fatty was trying to do. After all, they all knew that ancient martial arts were not as simple as they looked. Even if they were completely similar, without the corresponding mental cultivation method and incantation, they would not be able to achieve the same effect. In short, the mental cultivation method and incantation were the key. On the other hand, the disciples on Mo Ku's side started to laugh. However, buzz. What surprised everyone was that due to the sudden increase in the spinning speed, the fat on the Fatty's body was torn apart. In an instant, the Fatty's spinning speed had reached a terrifying level. Just this alone was enough to shock everyone. What was even more shocking was that the Fatty's spinning had brought along the sky around him and spread out in all directions, expanding the range of his spinning. Oh my God, this aura is very similar to the ancient martial art Taiji fist. It should be the ancient martial art Taiji fist. It's just that the comprehension is slightly different. Back then, Fatty claimed to be a natural ancient martial arts genius. Looks like he really did learn it. That's strange. Which upper-class world did Fatty come from? Ancient martial arts, even in the great world of CND, only first-grade academies and above can come into contact with it. Fatty is so powerful. How can his master be weak? His master must have also stayed in the great world of CND for a period of time and imparted it to him. At this moment, all the cultivators who had studied the ancient martial art Taiji fist started to discuss it in shock. Even though Chun Hao had only started to spin and had not come close to Mo Ku, who had already formed a huge energy ball, the aura that was released from his body could not be hidden from everyone. Furthermore, everyone could be sure that Fatty's comprehension of the ancient martial art Taiji fist was definitely not inferior to Mo Ku's. Damn Fatty. So he was just testing? Mo Ku was shocked and angry at the same time when he saw this scene. Others could sense it, but he, who was in the situation, could naturally sense that Fatty was definitely using the ancient martial art Taiji fist. This guy was proficient in it, but he purposely let Mo Ku devour his energy at the start. It was obvious that he was testing him. More accurately, he did not even care about giving Mo Ku some energy. As a proud person, Mo Ku naturally felt that he was being looked down upon by Fatty again. Boom. Damn Fatty, come on. I want to see how you're going to fight against me. Chi. Mo Ku roared angrily. As he spoke, terrifying energy gushed out from his body and merged into the devouring whirlpool that he had formed. Boom! When the spinning ball suddenly expanded by 10 times and once again compressed until it was smaller than the whirlpool that Chun Hao had formed in a short period of time, Mo Ku's mind moved, and he suddenly charged towards the spinning Chun Hao at lightning speed. Boom! Boom, boom, boom. Mo Ku, who was charging towards Chun Hao at lightning speed, seemed to have transformed into a small black hole. Wherever he passed, the space collapsed. All energy and all objects were devoured cleanly and became part of Mo Ku's compressed whirlpool. A sharp, majestic, and terrifying aura spread out in all directions, causing the cultivators outside the arena to have goosebumps. Some of the weaker cultivators could not help but retreat, afraid that the whirlpool would touch them and tear them into pieces. Amazing. Mo Ku instantly shot out all his energy and merged it into the Taiji ball. How ruthless and decisive. Mo Ku is going to win this round. At this moment, many cultivators were shocked by Mo Ku's sudden outburst. At the same time, they could not help but admire Mo Ku's decisiveness and ruthlessness. The battle had only just begun, but Moke clearly wanted to determine the winner in one move. Furthermore, Moke's choice of timing was undoubtedly the best for him. Fatty had already lost the initiative because he started spinning later. Furthermore, Moke suddenly went berserk and merged all his energy into the spinning energy. Fatty was in an even more passive position. In terms of time, no matter what, Fatty was unable to bring himself to his peak state and engage in a clash of the best. Ao Guang, Ling Feng, Xue Fian, Su Tao, and the rest were all worried for Fatty. However, at the same time, they were looking forward to Fatty's outburst. After spending some time together, all of them were sure that Fatty was not as simple as he looked, especially Ao Guang. Although he was worried, that was because he did not know if Fatty would outburst. However, Ao Guang firmly believed that those who could not shake him would not be able to shake Fatty. To others, this kind of trust in Fatty was definitely blind. However, Ao Guang did not think so. Ao Guang did not have any special abilities, nor did he know what kind of power Fatty was hiding. Similarly, Ao Guang did not have any intuition in this area in the past. However, when he met Fatty for the first time, even though he did not know Fatty's abilities, he submitted to him from the bottom of his heart. Ao Guang himself did not know why. However, he believed in the irresistible feeling in the bottom of his heart. It was as if it was fated. Chapter 1272. What was out of everyone's expectations was that the Fatty, who was already in a dangerous situation and was sealed by layers of pressure, not only did he not have the slightest intention of dodging, he also did not increase his strength in the slightest. The most exaggerated thing was that even the spinning speed seemed to have suddenly slowed down a lot, allowing everyone to clearly see the Fatty's appearance and movements in the vortex. At this moment, Fatty actually closed his eyes slightly. His hands were slowly drawing circles in the whirlpool that he had formed. He was detached from worldly matters, selfless and forgetful. It was obvious that he had thrown Moke, who was violently attacking him, to the back of his mind and immersed himself in the profound meaning that he had condensed. It seemed slow, but was actually fast, fast, but was actually slow. Among the cultivators present, not to mention the perfected golden immortal disciples, even the primordial supremacy disciples who came to watch the show, and some of the true immortal stage severing Tao disciples, couldn't determine which stage it was at. Only the experts present looked at Fatty with shock and seriousness in their eyes. How is it? Is my little brother all right? Aren't you ashamed? Your little brother is really disgusting. It's just average. Although his talent is not bad, with his looks shallow, what's the use of a man's looks? Especially to cultivators, it's even more useless. It's just a stinky skin. Once you reach the peak, you can do whatever you want. Don't deny it. Your eyes have already betrayed your true thoughts. Although I've only cultivated a little of the ancient martial art Tai Chi, I can feel that Fatty has already reached the realm of integrating the profound meaning of space and time into his own absolute space domain. So what? There are plenty of people in our ancient martial arts association who have reached his realm. Who are you trying to fool? You're talking about those above the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, right? Don't forget, Fatty is only from the Daluo Golden Wonderland. So what? When I was in the Daluo Golden Wonderland, I easily cultivated to such a realm. Rulin, to be honest, I really don't know why you admire him so much. Oh, right? Now it's proven your guess. He's indeed a natural ancient martial art genius that's slightly inferior to me. How did you know? I guessed. Bah, if you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Who would believe that you guessed it? Would you believe me if I said that I saw it from the depths of his eyes? I do. I even believe that you've been bewitched by that damn Fatty's flattery and his talent in painting. You actually revealed such a lustful expression. That's rare, something that only happens once in a million years. Damn girl, do you want to die? Stop spouting nonsense. Don't keep calling me a damn fatty. What's wrong with being a fatty? A vulgar person like you only knows how to judge based on appearances. Victory and defeat are about to be decided. Behind the crowd, above the void, in a space that had transformed a square inch into a heaven and earth, two figures sat cross-legged side by side. They circled around Fatty Li Yuan, discussing and teasing him until Moke and Fatty collided. Boom! Chi-chi-chi-chi-chi. Although it seemed like a long story, It actually happened in an instant. Moke used his own body to form an energy ball that was spinning at a high speed. It collided with the energy ball formed by Fatty, who had less energy and a slower spinning speed. In that instant, there was a loud explosion. At the same time, the bright divine light caused many cultivators present to be temporarily blinded. Ao Guang, Ling Feng, and Xue Fian all widened their eyes and held their breaths. They were all slightly nervous. With such a huge difference in energy and speed, what kind of backup did Fatty have? The three of them were very clear that Fatty was still hiding a lot of things. They didn't believe that Fatty would be so stupid. This was completely throwing an egg against a rock. When the crowd's eyes adjusted to the strong light, they thought that they would be able to see the scene of Fatty, who wasn't prepared enough, being defeated. He would either be severely injured and controlled by Moke, or be saved by the referee and in the match. However, what the crowd saw was Fatty, who had condensed a small spinning energy ball, being squeezed together with Moke, who was even bigger and faster than Fatty. They were both spinning separately. From afar, it looked like a big round ball and a small round ball were stuck together and spinning separately. The bright divine light was produced from the friction between the two balls. There wasn't a single bit of energy dissipating. It actually wasn't swallowed directly. Fatty's energy is obviously not condensed enough. It's also much thinner. Its speed is also many times slower. Other than a few teachers present, the disciples of the Daluo Golden Wonderland and the Grand Miss Supremacy Realm were all puzzled. With such a huge disparity, Moke should have been able to crush and swallow Fatty's spinning energy ball with an overwhelming advantage. How did it become a stalemate? Furthermore, Fatty's energy ball didn't seem to show any signs of dissipating. How is this possible? Moke, who had taken down Fatty in one move, also exclaimed in shock. Fatty's reply to Moke was his extremely relaxed laughter. Unlike Moke, everyone could clearly see Fatty's every move through the energy ball, which was obviously not spinning fast. At this moment, Fatty was indeed laughing very casually. Even his gaze seemed harmless. However, combined with the current situation, it gave people a feeling that he was openly mocking Moke. Everything is possible in front of Master Fatty. You're still too inexperienced to play Tai Chi with Master Fatty. Understand the essence of the ancient martial art Tai Chi before sparring with Master Fatty. Swallow the mountains and rivers. Buzz, Fatty said arrogantly. Swallow the mountains and rivers. Suddenly, he used all his strength. In an instant, the divine light emitted from the point of contact between the energy balls became many times brighter. Moke's energy ball started to shrink at a speed visible to the naked eye, while Fatty's energy ball became bigger at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ha ha ha. Impressive. Moke's idea of striking first to gain the upper hand is very good. However, it's a pity that it doesn't work all the time, especially when it's an ancient martial art Tai Chi against an ancient martial art Tai Chi. Looks like our true martial pavilion is going to win another round. That's right. The profound meaning of the ancient martial art Tai Chi is to use inaction to counterattacks, to gain the upper hand after striking, and to borrow strength to fight strength. However, Moke used his own strength crazily and attacked forcefully. This completely contradicts the profound meaning of Tai Chi. Good job, Fatty. Some of the experts in the crowd realized what was going on and started discussing. Impossible. TSK, TSK, TSK. As Fatty started to devour, Moke's energy ball instantly lost control. It collapsed and tore apart, then merged into Chun Hao's Tai Chi energy ball. It was used by Chun Hao. No matter how hard Moke tried, he couldn't stop it. Boom! When Moke's last bit of energy exploded, the expert referee who was monitoring the battle between the two had no choice but to take action. The outcome was already decided. There was no need to let Moke suffer heavy injuries. TSK, a streak of divine light, as fast as lightning enveloped the ashen-faced and ashamed Moke. Boom, boom, boom. Then, in front of everyone's eyes, Moke was engulfed by the rotating energy ball that Fatty had used all his strength to detonate. Chapter 1273. The Fatty One in Just 2 Moves. The first move was the instantaneous Great Five Elements art. The second move was the ancient martial art Taiji Fist. Both moves shocked the crowd and gave them a clearer understanding of the Fatty strength. However, it was also because of this that everyone felt that the Fatty was unfathomable. Instantaneous Great Five Elements art, let alone the Daluo Golden Wonderland. How many of the Hongmeng Supreme Immortals could do it? The power of the ancient martial art Taiji Fist was even more obvious. Ancient martial arts promoted the truth that the Tao was the simplest. As long as it was an ancient martial arts lost art, it could only give the practitioner the mental cultivation method and moves of the ancient martial arts. How much power could be unleashed depended on how deep the practitioner's comprehension of the ancient martial arts was, as well as how much of the practitioner's own strength and the law of heaven were integrated into the ancient martial arts mental cultivation method. Fatty Li Yuan's performance was undoubtedly terrifying to the extreme. Ao Guang is the descendant of the Monkey King. I'm afraid he's not much weaker than Chen Ritian. Fatty Li Yuan's performance is unfathomable. It's impossible to measure how strong he is, but he shouldn't be much weaker than Ao Guang and Chen Ritian. This year's challenge is bound to be exciting. Yes. This is just the beginning. I'm really looking forward to it. Ao Guang's identity as the descendant of the Monkey King was exposed, and he defeated the original 8th-ranked expert in a few moves. This caused his position in the hearts of the crowd to soar. Even if the Fatty finished his battle, he could only be on par with Ao Guang. This was also considering that the Fatty might have hidden his strength. The true martial pavilion won 2 rounds in a row. What a slap in the face. I like it. The Great Transformation Pavilion has always been the top 10 pavilions. They're incomparably arrogant. This time, the true martial pavilion stole the limelight. I'm afraid that they won't be able to regain their face in the challenge. Although Ao Qian and a few others won't be able to change the overall situation, the Great Transformation Pavilion's top 10 spots might be overtaken by the true martial pavilion. There's no doubt about Ao Guang and Li Yuan. We'll know after Xue Fian and Ling Feng's battle. The possibility is very high. That's right. With Ao Guang, Li Yuan, Xue Fian, and Ling Feng, I don't know if the true martial pavilion will be able to become the top student of our school in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. However, it's certain that they'll be able to make it into the top 10. It's very possible for them to make it into the top 3 or 4. Yes, not to mention the Grand Miss Supremacy realm. Murong Qianhua, Xinyuan Chun, and Tang, who definitely have the qualifications to enter the top 10. The buzzing sounds of discussion caused the great pavilion master and the other teachers who came to watch the battle to have ugly expressions. Even they did not expect Ao Qian to be a direct descendant of the Monkey King. As for Fatty Li Yuan, although they expected Mo Ku to lose the first challenge, they did not expect Fatty Li Yuan to win so easily. However, what Dahua Pavilion did not expect was that in the following battles, those who targeted Fatty Li Yuan, Monkey Ao Qian, Xue Fian, and Ling Feng all lost their wings. Ling Feng, the little soaring Wind King, displayed unimaginable combat skills and defeated the 2 experts who challenged him. Xue Fian had won both matches with a slight advantage. She didn't look strong on the surface, but anyone with half a brain could figure out why the 2 challengers with a clear gap in strength would always be slightly better than each other. It could only be said that everything was under Xue Fian's control. She was as unfathomable as Fatty. Chun Hao and Ao Qian's second battle was similar to their first battle. They did not reveal anything because of the change in their opponents. Similarly, they won with a strong momentum, especially Ao Qian, who was still a one-hit deal. It was as if no matter who the opponent was, he would smash them with his stick. No one could stop him. It was a pity that the experts sent by the true martial pavilion to challenge the Great Transformation Pavilion did not succeed, except for Wan Yishui, who was unexpected. Wan Yishui used his improved green silk blue ripple technique to make his opponent fall into an illusion. Even so, Wan Yishui's fatal blow was also met with a strong counterattack at the last moment. Wan Yishui was seriously injured and could only be considered a lucky victory. However, even so, everyone was shocked by one Ishue's green silk blue ripple technique. At the same time, Chunhao also understood what one Ishue relied on to challenge him. Of course, Chunhao was not worried at all. On the contrary, he was looking forward to the intoxicating feeling of being immersed in the green silk blue ripple technique. That was simply a cleansing of the soul. On the other side, in the challenge of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm, the true martial pavilion was also challenged by Dahua Pavilion. However, Murong Qianhua, Xin Yuanchun, and Tang Hu, who were supposed to challenge the top 10 experts, were even crazier. They ignored the challenge and directly challenged the first, second, and third experts. The performance of the three clearly told everyone that the three brothers would take the top 3, and they won all the battles on the first day. Next, as long as Xin Yuanxin and Tang, who challenged the original first place, the 3 of them would be able to sit in the top 3. This hope should not be a problem in everyone's eyes after the performance of the 3 today. Tyrannical and domineering. The momentum of directly reaching the top was the best portrayal of the 3 brothers. At the end of the first day of the challenge, the true martial pavilion was in the limelight, and Dahua Pavilion was extremely frustrated. Dahua Pavilion wanted to regain some face, but they did not expect to be defeated so thoroughly. The first place of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm had fallen, and there was no longer anything to rely on. The only hope was Chun Ritian and the original first expert of the Daluo Golden Wonderland, but it was only the 2 of them. Even if the 2 of them could retain the first and second positions, so what? No, I can't let this go no matter what. That night, in the meeting hall of Dahua Pavilion, the pavilion master of Dahua Pavilion was furious. Subsequently, Chun Ritian and the original first expert, who had taken first place with their terrifying results, were summoned by the pavilion master of Dahua Pavilion. Close to Chun Hao, who was already immersed in the immortal world space in the cultivation room, he received a message from the 8th life, Chun Ritian. First, second, third, damn it, that's awesome. Fat brother, although the realms are different, we can't be weak. Should we also challenge the first and second place? The next day, when Chun Hao and the others gathered in the square again, Ao Guang, who had already learned about the situation of Murong Qianhua and the others, said, "Don't think about the first place. I can feel that Chun Ritian is not someone we can compete with for the time being." The fat man said after a slight hesitation. "Fatty, are you sure?" Ling Feng asked with a frown. "Should be, but if you want to challenge, I won't stop you. Go ahead and try. Oh, if I win, does that mean I'll be the first place?" F*CK. "That depends on me, Ao Guang. Hurry up. Fat brother, do the best. If you're not sure, I'll take the lead. At least you can understand more," Ao Guang said. Chapter 1274. Listen to me. It's best if you don't try. Ao Qian, Ling Feng, and Xue Fian frowned when the fatty spoke again. Clearly, he wasn't joking. "Brother Fatty, did you see something?" Ao Qian asked. "Intuition. I know you're all hiding something. But even if you're all exposed, can you achieve the same results as him? Why didn't the pavilion master arrange for one Ishue and the others to challenge him? I think the pavilion master knows very well that none of us can defeat him. I can feel that this person is terrifying. If we meet now, I don't have the slightest confidence. Therefore, I don't recommend that you challenge him now," Chen Hao said. Chen Hao really didn't want the 3 of them to challenge Chun Ritian, since he wanted the name Chun Ritian to spread as quickly as possible. How could he lose in the academy? The first place would always be the focus of attention. Even if the second place and first place were similar in strength, they would still be overshadowed by the first place. This was the reality. All right, since Brother Fatty said so, we'll let it go for now. I didn't expect Murong Qianhua and the others to be so strong. They're going to take care of the top 3 in Hongming, Ao Qian said gloomily. In fact, they didn't plan to challenge Chun Ritian from the beginning. Just as the fatty said, they didn't have the confidence. The reason they wanted to take the risk today was because they were provoked by Murong, Qianhua, and the others. They're indeed strong, but they were lucky to be able to take care of the top three. I can only say that the top three in Hongmeng are a little weak. Since Brother Fatty said so, we'll let it go for now. After all, we're the Daluo Golden Wonderland. We'll have plenty of chances in the future. Ling Feng agreed with Chun Hao's point of view. As for Xue Fian, although she didn't say anything, she went with the flow. If they wanted to do it, she would do it. If they didn't want to do it, then so be it. However, there were some things that Chun Hao and the others couldn't control. Just as Chun Hao finished talking with Ao Qian and the others, Chen Ritian and the others from the Great Transformation Pavilion arrived. Chun Hao's face turned green when he communicated with Chen Ritian. I challenge Ling Feng. I challenge Ao Qian. Whoosh! Chen Ritian, who was in first place, and Yin Tian, who was in second place, issued a challenge the moment the judge announced the start of the registration for the day. Yin Tian, the former chief disciple of the Daluo Golden Celestial Stage of the Daluo Golden Celestial Stage, had actually challenged Ling Feng, who was ranked in the 20s. What was even more outrageous was that Chen Ritian, who was ranked first, had actually taken the initiative to challenge the descendant of the Monkey King, Ao Qian. How could the others not be shocked? After all, the challenge to challenge a challenge, was it? Ao. T have a challenges. T challenge. Who's. S's was lowers challenging A's sate. T, Qian, T, Aotin, Estin, Qian. I challenge Xue Fian. The Qian T, SD, Aotes. He'd been challenged twice yesterday, plus his's. Hence, he could challenge 3 people today. It was obvious that he was targeting Chun Hao and the others. At the same time, Chen Ritian, who no one dared to challenge, received 3 challenges today. All of them were from the Qian Pavilion. It was obvious that the Qian Pavilion had purposely arranged this for Chen Ritian, so that he'd have 3 more challenges. First round, Challenger Yin Tian. Challenger Ling Feng, please come on stage. After the registration ended, Yin Tian, who had 3 challenges, became the first in the first round. The person he challenged was Ling Feng, the first person he challenged. Yin Tian, the Qian Pavilion's Daluo Golden Wonderlands. Before Chen Ritian's, his S was always first. He'd been dominating for more than 1,000 years. In the eyes of the Qian Pavilion's master, he was the only one who stood a chance against Chen Ritian. After this challenge, he'd set foot in the Hongmeng region and draw a line with the Daluo Golden Wonderland. How strong was he? The master sent by the true martial pavilion yesterday couldn't even force Yin Tian to show his true strength. They were already the 2 strongest in the true martial pavilion's originals. Yin Tian. The moment Yin Tian stepped onto the stage, countless cultivators with the Qian Pavilion as the center started to shout crazily. Ling Feng took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage under immense pressure. Ling Feng knew very well that there wasn't much hope for him to defeat Yin Tian. Otherwise, he wouldn't have listened to Chun Hao's suggestion to not challenge the first and second Chen Ritian and Yin Tian. However, now that Yin Tian had taken the initiative to challenge him, Ling Feng and the rest had no choice but to step up. Unfortunately, 3 minutes later, Ling Feng, who had never tasted defeat, was defeated. Even though Ling Feng displayed his super strong combat power, he still couldn't stop the Qian Pavilion's. After the start of the second round, the judge arranged for the fatty, who was supposed to fight before Xue Fian, to fight with the challenger, Yin Tian. Xue Fian lost 5 minutes later. After Xue Fian stepped out of the stage expressionlessly, Chen Hao frowned and asked, "You didn't use your full strength?" This was because Xue Fian didn't reveal her true form even when she was defeated. I didn't have the chance to use my full strength. His combat skills are very strong, and he has already comprehended the laws of space and time. If I'm not wrong, he should have already comprehended the Hongmeng Qi and obtained the Great World Imprint. He's almost done with it, and he's only missing the last step. That's why he used the Great World Domain to suppress me from the start. You have to be careful later. You can either use your full strength or just admit defeat. Xue Fian looked at Ling Feng with a hint of dissatisfaction. Cough, cough. He didn't use it on me at all. How can I not tell you? Ling Feng hurriedly explained. I want to be the boss, and I don't want to use others to compare our strength. Believe it or not, I was looked down upon by Yun Tian, and I even lost to him. F***CK. Ling Feng clenched his fists in frustration. He was clearly not convinced. F***CK. Look at me going crazy in the third round. F***CK. So what if it's Chen Ritian? Kill him. Brother Fatty, let's turn this around. Let's do our best. Chen Hao shrugged. He knew in his heart that it was impossible to turn this around. Chen Ritian wouldn't allow failure. Although A.O. Guang was strong, he wasn't a threat to the eighth anima. Therefore, at best, he could only take down Yun Tian himself. As for whether he could do so, Chen Hao wasn't sure. Yun Tian was very strong. He hadn't revealed his full strength when he defeated Ling Feng and Xue Fian. He indeed had the strength to defeat Chen Ritian, which was also his own strength. I owe 3 chapters. I'll start to make up for it tomorrow. Future updates will be around 10 a.m. Chapter 1275. There was always someone better than you. Yin Tian's performance made Chen Hao realize that the top geniuses of the top academies didn't count for much. They only sound a little awesome. The top examinees of the various great academies were the true geniuses. Even in the second-rate academies, third-rate academies, and even fourth-rate academies, there were many true geniuses. Yin Tian was the best proof. In the third round, Fatty Li Yuan and Yun Tian's battle was arranged before Chen Ritian and A.O. Qian. After Fatty and Yun Tian entered the arena, they didn't say a word. The moment the restrictions on the arena disappeared, the two of them attacked at the same time. Yun Tian was determined to win. The energy around him surged like the sea. With a wave of his hand, space collapsed and time distorted. The strength he displayed was even more terrifying than when he faced Ling Feng and Xue Fian. Such a situation also made everyone understand that Yun Tian didn't use his full strength in the previous battle. That was indeed the case. Yun Tian challenged 3 monstrous geniuses at once. Even if he was confident in his own strength, he still had to treat it seriously, especially Fatty Li Yuan. First, Fatty had obtained heaven-defying results when he just entered the academy. He was a level higher than Xue Fian and Ling Feng. Moreover, this was because Fatty didn't understand the rules and lost a lot of foundation points. Yin Tian had no choice but to pay attention to it. Second, Fatty had revealed too many monstrous talents. He was proficient in the ancient martial art Taiji Fist and had comprehended a realm that only the Grand Mist Supremacy realm could comprehend. He was also proficient in painting and calligraphy. Yin Tian naturally knew what this meant. Third, Fatty's life force wasn't the youngest in the Daluo Golden Wonderland, but he was definitely the youngest to reach his level of strength. Therefore, no matter how one looked at it, Fatty Li Yuan was the most dangerous existence among Ling Feng and Xue Fian. He wasn't inferior to the Monkey King's descendant, A.O. Qian. Boom! Rumble! Yin Tian's fists flickered incessantly, causing the void to tremble. Every single punch was domineering and peerless in might. What was even more shocking was that the strength of every single punch was capable of surpassing the restraints of the arena's barrier and devouring the spiritual energy in the surroundings. It was truly profound. It had to be said that this was the strongest opponent Chen Hao had ever encountered in the same realm. Chen Hao only took a few punches head-on before he changed his tactics. He displayed the ancient martial art Taiji Fist, using softness to overcome strength. He borrowed strength to counter strength and neutralize the opponent's ferocious attacks. Even so, the fat on Fatty's body was still trembling. His big butt shook violently from time to time as he used greater teleportation to dodge Yun Tian's fierce and sharp attacks. It couldn't be helped. Yun Tian, who had extremely powerful combat skills, was actually able to shatter space-time with his fist by relying on his tyrannical strength and condense a great world, domain to suppress Chen Hao. Every time he attacked the trajectory of Chun Hao's Taiji fist, Chun Hao felt extremely stifled. However, the scene that the onlooking cultivators saw was completely different from what Chun Hao felt. In 2 days, Yin Tian had already gone through 4 battles and fully displayed his strength. In everyone's opinion, it would only take him a few minutes to defeat Fatty Li Yuan. After all, Ling Feng and Xue Fian had already been defeated. Although Fatty was slightly stronger, Yin Tian was undoubtedly stronger. After all, this was the chief disciple who had dominated for more than 1,000 years. How could he be so easily shaken? However, 10 minutes had passed, and the state of the two's battle seemed to be no different from when it had just started. Fatty was still in a state of complete suppression, but he was still able to defend his final line of defense. Yin Tian was unable to break through. This situation shocked everyone, especially the teachers who knew Yin Tian's strength. They looked at Fatty with even more puzzled eyes. What kind of monster was this damn Fatty? He was clearly in a situation where he was being beaten, and he had been doing so for more than 10 minutes. How could he not be flustered? This was very inconceivable. After all, in a situation where one was suppressed, one had to rely on energy to resist. For more than 10 minutes, and under such ferocious attacks, not to mention anything else, just the consumption should be enough to make Fatty collapse. However, Fatty was still performing Taiji fist, occasionally swinging his big butt. His essence, qi, and spirit did not seem to have decreased at all. On the contrary, Yin Tian's forehead was slightly sweaty. His face was flushed, and his breathing was heavy. How could this be? Countless people were puzzled. However, very quickly, some of the teachers present saw some clues and answered the doubts in everyone's hearts. At the same time, everyone looked at Fatty with eyes filled with envy and jealousy. What a powerful physical body. What a majestic blood qi. This damn Fatty looks like we've underestimated him. He's practically relying entirely on the strength of his fleshly body to resist. His true essence and divine sense are merely a decoy to recover his body. This little Fatty is truly unfathomable. If this continues, even Yin Tian will be ground to death by him. The teachers of the large pavilion frowned and discussed, their worried expressions overflowing. Ha! I'm sure that Brother Fatty will win. Back then, wasn't one Yishui worn down by Brother Fatty until he couldn't resist? Ao Qian said. Mother of asterisk her, all the fat on Fatty's body is actually used to store energy. Ling Feng was dumbfounded. He had already experienced Yin Tian's strength. Up until now, he had to admit that the Fatty's strength was indeed unfathomable. The Fatty's body created by the Great Change, art, was completely a shell for him to hide his true strength. He couldn't help but say, "Big brother, I'm really curious what the Fatty looks like." What does he look like? Cough, cough. What I mean is, what kind of person or monster is Fatty? His physical strength, blood qi, and endurance are so strong, so abnormal. As long as the opponent's strength is not absolutely suppressed, it's impossible to win against him. Ling Feng hurriedly added, the fact that he and Fatty both used the Great Change art was their secret. Even Ao Qian, Xue Fian, and the rest could not tell them. Yin Tian, who was in the middle of the battle, was fine at the beginning. However, as time passed, he became anxious. Whether it's strength, speed, or the law of divine sense, I'm stronger than him. If I'm tortured to death by him, where will my face go? No, I can't lose to him. Boom! With a loud explosion, Yin Tian suddenly released a powerful attack, causing the meatball-like Fatty to retreat. At the same time, his body moved horizontally, making the first retreat since the start of the battle. Roar! After stabilizing his body, Yin Tian suddenly opened his arms and roared into the sky. The essence, qi, and spirit of his body instantly gushed out. Damn Fatty, I've underestimated you. However, if you want to torture me to death, don't even think about it. Today, I'll allow you and all the Golden Immortals at the Golden Immortal Realm to witness my strongest attack. As Yin Tian spoke for the first time, an extremely powerful aura was released from his body along with the eruption of his essence, chi, and spirit. It went from weak to strong, rising rapidly. His gaze was like an unsheathed sword, sweeping across the surrounding cultivators. It was not only in the direction of Ao Qian and the rest, but also where Chun Ri Tian was. Yin Tian's gaze was filled with battle intent and disdain. Chapter 1276. A terrifying pressure swept out, causing the crowd to fall silent. Only the fluctuations of the heavens and the earth could be heard as the wind howled and howled. The fatty, who seemed to be forced to deal with it, did not have much of a change in his expression in the face of Yin Tian's soaring aura and rolling pressure. He only narrowed his eyes, and his pupils constricted, emitting an even sharper light. He said calmly and aggressively, "Your strongest attack? It's indeed a very strong aura, but it's not up to you to decide whether I can wear you down. Bring it on. Grandpa Fatty wants to see how strong your strongest attack is." Chi, chi, chi. As the fatty spoke, waves of powerful fluctuations abruptly gushed out from his body. Boundless blood chi actually faintly condensed into blood-red phantoms around him, making the fatty look like a person suffused with blood-red light. At the same time, a blood-red light shot out from the fatty's forehead in all directions. An intense slaughter will bloomed. Clearly, the fatty did not dare to be careless about Yuntian's so-called strongest attack. He used the slaughter will that he had revealed before, which was seen by everyone as an inheritance. Moreover, it was a slaughter will that had given birth to a trace of intelligence. Wong. Boom, 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 boom. Because of the two people's soaring auras, the arena instantly became abnormally violent. Just a collision of their auras caused the heavens and the earth to tremble. Explosions occurred one after another. The dense spiritual chi of the heavens and the earth and Tao laws in the air showed signs of collapsing, being annihilated, and then reforming. Then come golden sun illumination. Boom! In the air above the arena, a cold light shot out from Yin Tian's eyes. He suddenly pushed out a palm. In an instant, a huge palm that bloomed with golden light shot out violently from his palm. The golden light palm was the lead, and the golden light pillar was the bridge. It was as if Yin Tian's arm was endlessly extending. It carried an unparalleled profundity, power, and pressure as it blasted towards the fatty. There was no strongest absolute art in the world. The same absolute art would have different effects when practiced by different people. It was hard to judge the absolute nature of the absolute art. However, to an individual, the strongest absolute art was the one that suited him or herself, the absolute art that comprehended the Tao. The golden sun illuminating world palm was Yun Tianwu's ultimate technique. This technique condensed his entire life's cultivation and strength, combined his comprehension of the laws of the great Tao with his own physical condition, fusing them into one. Without a doubt, this was his strongest technique. Golden sun illuminating the world. The fatty's pupils shrank, and a trace of seriousness appeared between his brows. Immediately after, he exhaled and said, "Mighty King Kong Palm. Chi." The fatty blasted out a palm. The essence, chi, spirit, Zhen Yuan, and physical strength of his body immediately surged out along his 8 extraordinary meridians like a river bursting through a dam. A golden palm shadow, the size of Chun Hao's palm, shot out the moment Chun Hao's arm was fully extended. It was also a golden palm, but it did not expand at all. It also did not have the majestic aura created by Yun Tian's golden sun illuminating the world. It was also not connected to Yun Tian's body and did not extend out of his body to control and supply energy at any time. However, the fatty's small golden palm was condensed to the extreme. Its speed was astonishing, and it carried an unimaginable penetrative power. When it collided with Yun Tian's palm, it actually pierced through Yun Tian's huge palm like a hot knife through butter. Bang! A low collision sound came from Yun Tian's chest at the speed of light and sparks, rippling through the entire arena. The fatty's palm penetrated too quickly. It was so fast that Yun Tian, who was using his divine sense to control the golden sun illuminating the world, could not react in time at all. It already hit his chest. Pooh! Then, Yun Tian's expression changed greatly. His chest suddenly rose and fell violently. At the same time, he uncontrollably spat out a mouthful of essence blood. Wong wong wong. In an instant, extremely profound runes condensed around Yun Tian's body one after another. His expression became even more terrifying, and the space between his eyebrows bloomed like a scorching sun. His eyes were filled with shock as he looked at the fatty, and at the same time, they became even crazier. At this moment, everyone present was stunned. The scene of the battle between the two was indescribably strange. Many cultivators did not even know what was going on. They only knew that Fatty Li Yuan and Yun Tian's battle had reached a critical moment. They also saw Fatty Li successfully penetrate Yun Tian's attack with his seemingly condensed but not very powerful palm and hit Yun Tian's chest. However, other than a crazed expression and a little pain, Yun Tian's body did not show any violent reaction. At the same time, although the golden sun illuminating the world that Yun Tian had condensed was pierced through by Chun Hao's palm, it did not panic at all and maintained its attack. Ruthless! At this moment, Fatty Li Yuan's voice sounded from the arena. Rumble. Soon after, the fatty's figure was engulfed by the terrifying golden palm energy in front of countless shocked gazes. Arrows of blood turned into a bloody mist, appearing exceptionally dazzling under the golden energy light. At the same time, the fatty's ear-piercing, pig-like screams also caused the surrounding onlookers to be horrified. Ao Guang, Ling Feng, Xue Fian, Su Tao, Yin Su Su, and the other members of the Carnage battle team held their breaths and clenched their fists. Yun Tian originally thought that the tanky fatty would be able to grind his opponent to death in this match. Unfortunately, Yun Tian's battle experience was very rich. He didn't give Chun Hao the chance to grind him to death at all. Yun Tian decisively used his strongest attack to end the battle quickly. Not to mention Ling Feng and Xue Fian. Even the Monkey King's descendant, Ao Guang, who was known for his tyrannical strength, felt threatened by the power of the golden sun illuminating world palm. If it were him, Ao Guang also did not think that he would be able to receive this move. Hold on, fatty bro. Ao Guang gnashed his teeth and said, Fatty bro. Su Tao and the rest could only murmur. What a terrible scream. When Xue Fian heard the fatty's shrill scream, she was no longer nervous. The battle was over, and the fatty's defeat was already decided. The teacher was in control of the arena, so the fatty's life was not in danger. Fatty, why are you still holding on? It's fine if you lost. Just come again next time. Hurry up and admit defeat, Ling Feng said. F*CK, admit defeat my ass. At most, Fatty Bro will be severely injured. It's not like he will lose his combat ability. There's still hope until the last moment. Ao Guang glared at Ling Feng and retorted, Hold my ass. I've already lost. Fian has also lost. Fatty is only slightly stronger. Ling Feng said. Previously, he still hoped that the fatty could win. Now that he saw that the fatty had lost all hope, he accepted it as a matter of course. After all, he was a show-off, and he did not want to be below the fatty. At once, still 0-2. Chapter 1277. Yun Tiandao, Enlightenment's golden sun illumination, finally ran out of energy. The dazzling golden light disappeared, the dust settled, and at the core of the ripple, the fatty's pig-like howl also disappeared. At this moment, everyone's gaze was attracted to the figure at the core of the ripple. All of them gasped as their eyes widened in shock. They simply could not believe what they saw, a bloody figure. A badly mutilated figure. Other than the fat face that was still intact, allowing everyone to know that he was Fatty Li Yuan, that badly mutilated figure that was so slim that it was almost the same as a normal person. There was no trace of the fatty at all. Such a scene, Everyone understood that the terrifying explosion must have shaved off the fatty's flesh. Such a scene caused everyone's hair to stand on end. And at the same time, they were even more shocked. Dense Tao mark aura surrounded the fatty's badly mutilated body, preventing his body from recovering and healing. Blood was still flowing out, and the wounds on his body were still increasing, but the slaughter intent between the fatty's eyebrows became even more intense. His entire essence, energy, and vitality seemed to have a final radiance. Not only did it not weaken, it actually began to soar again. How was this possible? Chi. At this moment, not many people noticed that the victor in everyone's heart, Yin Tian, had a crazed expression ever since the fatty's palm landed on his chest. The energy fluctuation around his body was intense. It was obvious that he was suppressing the palm force that the fatty poured into his body. At this moment, he, who thought that victory was imminent, looked at the fatty with a shocked expression and even fear. Comparing ruthlessness? The person who can compete with me, Fatty Yi, in terms of ruthlessness has yet to be born. Do you still need me, Fatty Yi, to make a move? What no one expected was that the fatty suddenly spoke. This puzzled everyone. After all, no matter how they looked at it, the fatty was in a worse state. It gave them the feeling that he would not be able to last much longer. You want me to admit defeat? Dream on. You're in a worse state than me now. Although I can't break your Tao mark, I can still suppress it. What about you? Humph, my Tao comprehending ultimate skill, Golden Sun illuminates the world, is not something you can break. How long can you last? Yin Tian said disdainfully. He originally thought that his attack would directly cause the fatty to lose his ability to fight, and at that time, his mind would naturally lose control of his palm. In that case, he could easily dissolve the fatty's palm force down mark in his body. But he didn't expect that even after the fatty's flesh was shaved off, his mind was still controlling his palm force. This shocked him, but he didn't think that the fatty situation was better than his. I won't be able to hold on for too long, just a few minutes at most, haha. In a matter of minutes, you have the nerve to ask me to admit defeat? What a joke. If I had known earlier, I would have used less power to suppress your Tao marks, and you would have already lost. And you want me to admit defeat? The one who should admit defeat is you. The conversation between the two made all the cultivators aware of their current situation. It was obvious that they had entered a stalemate. Everyone looked at Fatty, then looked at Yin Tian. For a moment, everyone fell silent. In the entire plaza, there was only the sound of the fatty and Yin Tian resisting each other's Tao marks, as well as the faint sound of energy circulation. Whose energy could last until the end? Sigh. Fatty suddenly shook his head and sighed, then said, Since you don't admit defeat, then don't blame me for being impolite. Teachers, you have to monitor well. If someone dies, it has nothing to do with me. Yin Tian, Fatty Knight, I seriously advise you to admit defeat. What? Everyone was stunned by the fatty's words. Dream on. What a joke. Now, what power do you have to take my life? All right, this is your choice, Buzz. Just as the fatty finished speaking, his glabella suddenly shook. Wait. Right at this moment, the referee on the stage suddenly shouted. At the same time, his glabella also released a beam of light that came between the fatty and Yin Tian. Li Yuan, you have the ability to detonate your Tao marks? The referee went straight to the point. Of course. Teacher, if you delay my time like this, you know that I won't be able to hold on for long. Don't worry. Chi. The referee's expression didn't change at all. He suddenly opened his hand and sucked at Yin Tian. In an instant, endless mysterious runes appeared out of nowhere. The next moment, Yin Tian's chest made a buzz sound, and a golden palm flew out. It could be seen at a glance that it was the mighty Vajra palm that the fatty had used before. Phew! Yin Tian instantly let out a long sigh of relief. His twisted and crazy expression immediately relaxed a lot. The pain disappeared, but he was still imprisoned and couldn't move. Detonation successful. You win. Yin Tian loses. Old man used Yin Tian's strength to suppress and protect, so it's barely fair. Begin. The fatty was slightly stunned, Then he shook his head and accepted the referee's method. His glabella shook again, and a beam of light cut through the void. Boom! Rumble! In an instant, the golden palm that was moved out of Yun Tian's body released an incomparably resplendent light. It was as if a scorching sun had exploded. Golden light shot out in all directions, and a loud sound shook the heavens. The terrifying explosion wave swept through the heavens and earth. It wasn't inferior to when Yun Tian had used his enlightenment technique to bombard the fatty. Impossible. How is this possible? Yun Tian's eyes widened in shock and fear. He was certain that if the fatty's down mark had detonated in his body, he would definitely have turned into dust. The referee wouldn't have been able to save him in time. Fortunately, the fatty didn't have the intention to take his name. To be precise, the fatty spared his life. The cultivators around the stage all sucked in a breath of cold air. Their eyes were filled with horror as they looked at the fatty who was covered in blood. What kind of abnormal existence was this? Brother Fatty is here. Brother Fatty is mighty. On the third day, early in the morning, when the fatty, Ao Guang, and the rest arrived, it caused a commotion in the crowd. The fatty had defeated the previous ducks, Yun Tian, yesterday. His fame and reputation had become even greater. Later on, Ao Guang and Chen Ritian had a fierce battle, and Ao Guang was defeated. Li Yuan, so cute, so powerful, I still prefer Ling Feng. He's handsome and strong, pleasing to the eye. I like Monkey King Ao Guang. If I were to follow him, who would dare to bully me in this world? All right, Chen Ritian is the most handsome, the strongest. It's just that he's too cold, making people unable to get close to him. However, this kind of person, if you could conquer his heart, you would definitely become the happiest woman in the world. Stop dreaming. I'm afraid that only the monstrous genius young ladies from the top academies and the first academy would be able to catch Chen Ritian's eyes. That's right. Chen Ritian doesn't have any emotional fluctuations at all. When he was fighting Ao Guang yesterday, it was really too terrifying. He was even more violent than the Monkey King's descendant. Using violence to curb violence, he's really too strong. There's still a good show to watch today. According to the people from Great Transformation Pavilion, Chen Ritian will challenge the fatty Ling Feng and Xue Fian today. Yesterday, Great Transformation Pavilions and Trio symbolically challenged him so that they would have the right to challenge him today. The crowd was buzzing with discussion. This was also the biggest highlight of the day. I have something on today, so I won't make up for it. I'll just do it today. Chapter 1278. I challenge Ling Feng, Xue Fian, and Li Yuan. Just as everyone expected, Chen Ritian's cold voice sounded the moment the registration started. Although this kind of battle, where a high-ranking person challenged a low-ranking person, was meaningless, the Great Transformation Pavilion, which had lost all face, treated this as their only chance to regain some face. However, Yun Tian's defeat yesterday caused the mood of the Great Transformation Pavilion's pavilion master and the others to become a little heavy and perturbed. However, there was no turning back for an arrow that had been shot. Although the arrangement yesterday was not made clear, it had already been made known to everyone. Chen Ritian was the same as Yun Tian and would also challenge Li Yuan, Ao Guang, and Xue Fian. How could Chen Ritian, who had obtained 3 challenges today, give up? If that happened, everyone would think that the Great Transformation Pavilion thought that Chen Ritian wasn't as good as Fatty. Therefore, regardless of victory or defeat, he had to fight. In the first round, Chen Ritian defeated Ling Feng with his ferocious and fierce attacks. In the second round, Chen Ritian also defeated Xue Fian. However, this time, Xue Fian didn't reveal her true identity, which confused everyone. After all, Chen Ritian didn't have the suppression of Yun Tian's realm, so it wouldn't be a problem for Xue Fian to reveal her true identity. Moreover, even if Chen Ritian had the suppression of his realm, who didn't know how strong Chen Ritian was? No one could stop him from revealing his true identity from the start. However, Although these two battles were exciting, the outcome was within everyone's expectations. There wasn't much to look forward to. What everyone was looking forward to was the battle between Fatty Li Yuan and Chun Ri-Tian. If Fatty Li Yuan was able to defeat Yin Tian, a veteran first seat, then his chances of defeating Heavenly Empress Chun-Ri would be at least on par with her. No one could be sure who would win or lose. They would only know after the battle. The last battle of the day. The challenger is Chun Ri-Tian from the Great Transformation Pavilion. The challenger is Li Yuan from the Real Martial Pavilion. Please come on stage. Whoosh! Chun Ri-Tian. Victory! Chun Ri-Tian. Victory! Brother Fatty will win. Brother Fatty will win. In an instant, all the cultivators in the square cheered for their idol. What Chen Hao did not expect was that his popularity was on par with Chen Hao's. Let alone Chen Hao, even the teachers, Ao Guang, Ling Feng, Xue Fian, and the others didn't think of this. After all, Chun Ri-Tian, who had incredible results, was extremely handsome, and was even able to defeat the Monkey King's descendant with violence, was more suitable to be an idol than the fatty. In the crowd, Yin Tian, who could be said to have been spared by the fatty yesterday, had a gaze as calm as water. He stared at the fatty's fat buttocks flying towards the stage without any ripples in his eyes. It was impossible to tell if he was happy, angry, sad, or happy, but one could be sure that there was no trace of hatred in his eyes. I hope that you'll be the first seat. Yin Tian stared at the fatty and thought to himself. In order to protect the title of the first seat of the Dahua court, he had wasted 1,000 years and confined himself in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. 1,000 years might not be much in the long life of a cultivator, but to a true monstrous genius who was about to step onto the path of the immortal emperor, it was extremely precious. How big was the loss of such a sacrifice? It was very, very big. However, with the appearance of Chun Ri-Tian, the head of the Dahua court, his teacher, he had to give up his final glory. He was very unwilling. Stepping into Hongmeng with the glory of being the first seat was what he wanted. It was also the best way to gather providence. However, his teacher did not allow him to challenge Chun Ri-Tian. After dominating for 1,000 years, he had to give up just like that. Who would be willing to do that? However, he could only obey. Now, deep in his heart, he did not hesitate to throw away his identity as a disciple of the Dahua court. He hoped to use his strength to defeat the fatty Li Yuan fair and square to obtain the title of first seat. Only then would he be convinced. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Streams of light converged from all directions toward the square where the Daluo Golden Wonderland was located. The referee intentionally placed the battle between the fatty Li Yuan and Chun Ri-Tian as the last match of the day. This caused many cultivators from the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm and the teachers who were watching the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm competition to rush over. Although this was only the battle between the top and the Daluo Golden Wonderland, there was no doubt that this was the most anticipated battle in this year's preliminary ranking challenge. It was even more anticipated than the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm's Murong Qianhua, Xinyuan Chun, and Tang Hu. This was because of the heaven-defying results of Chun Ri-Tian and the equally heaven-defying fatty Li Yuan. Murong Qianhua, Xinyuan Chun, and Tang Hu also appeared in the spectator area at the same time. They stood with their hands behind their backs and looked coldly at the arena. They did not seem to care much about the battle between the fatty and Chun Ri-Tian. However, since they had come, how could they not care? Hiss. In the arena, the fatty squinted his eyes. He had a harmless smile on his face as he stared at the cold-looking Chun Ri-Tian, who was filled with murderous intent. You're very strong. To everyone's surprise, the cold and silent Chun Ri-Tian could not help but speak first. Moreover, he was praising the other party. You're very strong too, the fatty said with a smile. However, no matter how strong you are today, I hope to have a fair, all-out, and unreserved battle, no matter if I win or lose. Chun Ri-Tian's eyes shone brightly as he looked straight at Chen Hao. No problem. It's absolutely fair, all out, and unreserved. Go all out. If you can win against me, you're capable. The fatty squinted his eyes and said straightforwardly. Although the spectating cultivators felt that the conversation between the two was a little strange, they did not take it seriously. They only thought that Chun-Ri-Tien and the fatty could feel each other's strength. Perhaps they were a little sympathetic towards each other, which was why they had such a conversation. However, they did not know that the conversation between the two actually had a hidden meaning. Chun-Ri-Tien was the eighth life that was derived from Chun Hao's massacre will. Like the other lives, he had his own consciousness and thoughts. Even though Chun Hao had connected the memories and thoughts of his original body and the eighth life for convenience, he could not avoid the selfish thoughts that came with having his own consciousness. Chun-Ri-Tien's words were actually a chance for a fair battle. In other words, he did not want Chun Hao to use his original body's consciousness to suppress and order him around. Chun Hao's reply was naturally to agree to his request. As the original body, how could the fatty allow his clone to provoke him? No matter what, he had to absolutely suppress him. Buzz, buzz. The moment the imprisonment runes on the arena disappeared, the fatty's glabella shook. He immediately held the Overlord's spear horizontally in his hand. At the same time, what made the crowd exclaim in shock and excitement was that the glabella of the fatty emitted an extremely bright blood-red glow. Massacre will. Are you sure? Master Fatty will naturally treat you the same way you treat my brothers and sisters. It's just a massacre will. Haven't you heard that it's also one of Master Fatty's strongest unique skills? I also heard that your massacre will has already gained sentience. If you use it too much, you won't even know how you died. Ha! It's just gaining sentience. As long as Master Fatty is willing, I can destroy it with a thought. Cut the crap. Take this. Buzz. The fatty became one with his spear and suddenly attacked. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.